It's been moved and seconded that we return to open session and adopt certification of closed session. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Madam Secretary.
Whereas the Dinwiddie County School Board has convened a closed session on this date pursuant to an affirmative recorded vote and in accordance with the provisions of the Virginia Freedom of Information Act, and whereas paragraph 2.2-3712 of the Code of Virginia requires a certification by the school board that such closed meeting was conducted in conformity with Virginia law, now therefore be it resolved that the Dinwiddie County School Board hereby certifies that to the best of each member's knowledge, only such business matters as were identified in the motion convening the closed meeting were heard, discussed, or considered by the school board. Dr. Elaine J. Pearson, District 1.
I certify.
Dwayne G. Walker, District 2.
I certify.
Barbara T. Pittman, District 3.
I certify.
Mary M. Benjamin, District 4.
I certify.
Jason L. Brown II, District 5.
I certify.
All have certified, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, ma'am. Can we invite you all to join us now in standing for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Secretary, are there any amendments to the agenda?
There are no amendments to the agenda.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, I move that we,
I think there are. I believe that there are. We're taking ARGs off of the agenda.
Sorry, I was incorrect. I'm sorry, you're right. We are taking the ARGS update off of the agenda under superintendent matters.
Mr. Chair, I move that we accept the agenda as amended. Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we accept the agenda as it has been amended. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. No.
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve the personnel list as presented.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the personnel list as it has been presented to us this evening. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. And then we have student matters.
Mr. Chair, I move that student number student number E-02/26-1. We accept the recommendation of administration and expel, finding the student poses a threat to health and safety of others.
Second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded in the case of student E-02/26-1 that we uphold the administration's recommendation. Madam Chair, can I request the roll call vote?
Yes. Dr. Elaine J. Pearson,
Aye.
Barbara T. Pittman,
Aye.
Jason L. Brown II,
No.
Mary M. Benjamin,
Aye.
Dwayne G. Walker.
Aye.
Mr.
4 to
Chair,
1.
The motion carries.
Mr. Chair, I move that we accept the recommendation of the school administration and expel student E-02/26-2 for the health and safety of all.
Second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded that we uphold the administration's recommendation in the case of student number E-02/26-2. Madam Secretary, can I request a roll call vote?
Yes. Dr. Elaine J. Pearson,
Aye.
Barbara T. Pittman,
Aye.
Jason L. Brown II,
No.
Mary M. Benjamin,
Aye.
Dwayne G. Walker.
Aye.
It's 4 to 1.
The motion carries.
Mr. Chair, I move that we we accept the request of the parent and release from compulsory attendance on religious exemption students number REL02/26-1 and student number REL02/26-2.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we honor the request of the parents for, to be released from compulsory attendance as a result of religious exemption in the case of number REL-2/26-1 and REL-2/26-2. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? The motion carries. Thank you. At this time, we have some recognitions. Dr. Weston.
Yes. So I'd like to invite Dr. Paul Lathrop to come forward. He is the principal at Rwanti Technical Center, and he's going to provide us with some highlights about the great work that he is doing over there at Rwanti. Thank you for being here today.
Mr. Chairman, esteemed members of the school board.
Mr. Chairman, esteemed members of the school board, Dr. Weston, community members all, I appreciate the opportunity to share some of the amazing things we're doing at Rwanti. It's always an honor and privilege to stand before you as their principal of the school. Last year about this time, I was fairly new to it and talked to you about some of the days of old and the days of new. And today I want to share our progress on bringing Rwanti into that new generation and providing new opportunities, innovative opportunities for our students while continuing the legacy that we have in some of our other programs. With that being said, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention that in addition to many other recognitions, February is also National CTE Month, so Career Technical Education. Rwanti is privileged to have Dinwiddie students as part of our student body, as well as just want to take a moment and thank all CTE teachers, counselors, administrations from Dinwiddie County Public Schools, as well as Rwanti, and all the amazing opportunities that they provide our students. A quick snapshot of enrollment in programs. For the current school year, we have 245 students enrolled from 3 divisions, Dinwiddie County Public Schools, Prince George, and Sussex, of which 100 of those students are Dinwiddie County Public Schools students. We have maintained 8 programs of study currently. Missing from this list compared to last year is we did pause our criminal justice program. We had an opportunity in terms of with a teacher leaving mid-year. We took care of our students to ensure that they had dual enrollment opportunities with Brightpoint for the remainder of that year. But we looked at historic enrollment over a 10-year period of time and wanted to make sure that our offerings were relevant and what have you. So with that being said, if you remember from last year, we haven't really changed our enrollment year to year, but we did eliminate one of those programs and everything. And part of the fun that I get to present now is what the future looks like in terms of bringing back programs, in terms of number and the new programs that we're having. So looking ahead, the 2 main things I'm going to talk to you about this afternoon is going to be our program launch for our new engineering and manufacturing program, as well as having to update our nurse aid pathway. So in these 2 images right here in the bottom left is actually a welding simulator being used at a college or university. It's a Miller augmented reality, virtual reality piece of equipment that is currently sitting in a shop getting ready to be installed that will be used for all of our trades programs, especially with engineering, manufacturing, and welding. So this is a great opportunity for our students to be able to try welding, perfect their skills, 0 cost in terms of being able to put them in an environment and kind of remove some of the, how would you say, kind of self-doubt and build their confidence up before they're in a welding booth and what have you. So we're really excited about being able to bring that opportunity to all of our students. The image to the right is an innovative piece of equipment that's being used in a lot of neighboring colleges and universities. What it is it allows students in health and medical science classes to use both current files as well as if you have the digital copy of your own X-ray or MRI, being able to bring it in and being able to take it through the different subsystems, and again, just being able to offer students an immersive experience. We talk a lot about technology in our schools, and that our students are using technology more than ever and being able to capitalize that and bring learning to the foremost of it. So that's one of the avenues that we're hoping to explore in the future with our programs. Speaking about the engineering and manufacturing program launch, so this is a passion project for me. When I first came into education, I was a technology education teacher, so this is right up my alley with it. I want to thank Dr. Weston for the introduction last September to the Cameron Foundation, which then led me to Go Virginia. as early as I think it was September of last year. I met these individuals, and they just loved hearing what we had in store in terms of our community. So with that being said, I was able to write a grant, and between the Cameron Foundation and Go Virginia, Rwanti was awarded $625,000 to be able to bring this engineering and manufacturing program to reality, so to speak. With that being said, CCAM, which is the Commonwealth Center of Advanced Manufacturing in Prince George, working with some of the individuals there, Lauren Siddell being one of them, who's very instrumental with Go Virginia, who I met originally as a student on a robotics team back in high school. Being able to work through some of those relationships, they had a program that was no longer using equipment, so Rwanti received over $400,000 worth of brand new electronics, educational trainers, and what have you, which means that 625 goes even further and allows us to be able to put in essentially a $1.2 million engineering and manufacturing program at Rwanti. It's always fun hearing the oohs and the ahs, right? All right, did something right. We like it. So with that being said, so we've already remodeled existing classroom spaces. We have an entire classroom ready to go. We've got what I call a clean lab full of electronic trainers, two of which are the yellow FANUC robot arms right there at the bottom. They're used in the automotive industry, the logistical industry, allows for additional high demand credentials, which goes through our 3 school accreditation, which we love. So that's been really cool. So a lot of our procurement that we've started is, again, equipment for that. So just speaking quickly on it, it's going to be several CNC mills, CNC lathes, CNC routers. So that's all essentially students design a part. We put a piece in there and essentially out comes the part. But in addition to that, we had our desktop water jet delivered the other day. We'll have a 4-foot by 8-foot laser cutter and engraver, which would actually be also used for carpentry, and again, all of our trades, 3D printers, what have you. So again, as we build out this program, it's not just for this one set of students, but we've also been really conscious of being able to offer cross-curricular opportunities, transferring classrooms, unused classroom spaces to communal classrooms to be able to, again, bring innovative technology to them. Our first student cohort is going to begin in August. We're really excited about it. With that being said, we are absolutely recruiting a teacher for that position. That's going to be a technology education licensed teacher, or someone that can qualify for that, or an individual that has at least 3 years in the last 5 years of engineering manufacturing experience. So it doesn't necessarily have to be a college degree. Happy to work with anyone interested in that and everything in terms of finding the right teacher and everything for this program. Something really cool in addition to this is part of this plan is that with the demand of our students, which between the 3 school divisions was over 300 students interested in this pathway, in the next 2 to 3 years, for the cost of an instructor, we would be able to offer a secondary program using the same equipment. So again, doubling down on it and not costing Dinwiddie, Rwanti, anybody, capital budget and what have you and everything for that. So we're really excited for this opportunity. Real quick, VDOE has reduced the number of hours associated with our nurse aid program. Essentially what they looked at is they looked at out in industry that if I was to go out right now and become a certified nurse aid individual, I would need 140 hours of instruction, including 40 hours of clinical, compared to the 280 hours and 2 credits that were previously requested from VDOE. So our health and medical science program isn't going away. It needs to be expanded because it's one of our programs that we have a waiting list of students, and we want to make sure we're taking care of kids and exposing them to what they're interested in terms of careers. So with that being said, nurse aid will occur at Rwanti without a hitch at all. The first semester we'll teach nurse aid. Our students will complete their clinicals during that time. The spring semester, they'll also be exposed to the patient care technician and home health aid program. So again, we maintain those 3 credits. And in short, it allows our students to have expanded healthcare credentials, whether it's in one of those 2 fields, as well as increasing their awareness and different opportunities that exist in the health and medical science field. So really excited about that opportunity for our students. In closing, our biggest thing is we want to empower our students through career technical education. My motto over the past 2 years has been we want to be college and career ready. It's not an or, it's an and. So making sure that we're exposing students to those different pathways in all different types and everything. Strengthen our regional workforce, working with our community business partners, relationships such as with CCAM allowed us to be able to have such a program and a product donation. So again, just really capitalize on that and showing our workforce that with these programs, we're able to grow their workforce, sustain what they're doing and everything there. And again, just creating meaningful post-secondary opportunities for all students.
Any questions for Dr. Lathrop?
I don't have a question, but we really appreciate you. You're looking to the future, and there's always got to be an adaptation of what the workforce needs and what the training is for that. So it's a constant change, and that's what we're about in education is where are the jobs and how do we get kids certified to do those jobs. So I thank you for that.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Yeah, I want to thank you as well for the time that you spent with me last week. I had the opportunity to tour the school a little bit and see some of that equipment firsthand, and I'm excited. So
Absolutely.
I appreciate everything you've done over the last year. It's looking good.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And I still want to see the plumber.
I've got all the stuff ready to go. If you've got the teacher, I can make it happen for you. Yes, ma'am.
Anybody else?
Yeah.
Thank you, Dr.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you all.
Okay, in keeping with that theme of CTE recognition, we're going to ask Jamie Clary and Carly Wolfe to come forward. Is it Jamie? Jamie's coming forward to talk to us about the things that are happening with our young people here on our campus.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, Dr. Weston. So as you know, February is CTE month, and today I'm excited to share our updates on our Career and Technical Education Department and how these programs continue to prepare our students for college careers and after graduation. Our work focuses on workforce readiness, industry credentials, and meaningful partnerships within our community. So our first event in October, Dinwiddie Middle School hosted our Geared Up Career Exploration event for all 7th grade students. We transformed the bus loop into an interactive hands-on learning space with the help of 15 business partners. For example, we had Suds & Cuts, Turner Family Farm, Cockhead Stables, Dinwiddie Government, Dinwiddie Fire and EMS, and these are just a few of our business partners that joined forces to make this event a success for our students. The students rotated through stations, explored multiple career pathways, and engaged directly with the professionals within our area. This early exposure helps our students begin thinking about future careers before entering high school. In November, we had Government Day. 25 seniors participated in Government Day, where they received hands-on look at how the county government operates. Students worked directly with county administrators and officials to develop budget projects. They then presented their proposals to county leaders, their peers, and built confidence, communication skills, and civic awareness. This experience connects classroom learning to real-world decision-making. Industry Day continues to be one of our largest engagement events that we have here in Dinwiddie County Public Schools. This year, we hosted 44 business partners, offering 14 breakout sessions for small group interactions. We were especially excited, again, to welcome 6 new business partners, expanding our opportunities for students. Events like this allow students to network, ask questions, and learn directly from professionals within the field. CTE certifications. Our students continue to excel in earning industry-recognized credentials. This semester alone, we have 162 students that have earned their workplace readiness certificate, 165 students passed the WISE certification, 12 culinary students earned their ServSafe Manager certification, 5 students earned their Para-Pro certification, with an additional student passing the Dinwiddie County Public Schools Para-Pro test. So these credentials give students a competitive edge and tangible proof of their skills that they're ready to use in the workforce. Work-based learning. I have to say that this has been a passion of mine for this year and seeing this program grow. Work-based learning is a key component of our CTE program. This year, we significantly increased our opportunities across the division. Last year, we had a total of 85 work-based learning experiences, and this year we have a total of 123 that count towards 3E, and we also had an additional 22 students that are not yet CTE completers, but they are working on doing that, which is an increase of 45% compared to last year, and our students are being placed still in internship opportunities today because I just had the opportunity to speak with Ms. Colbert, and we're placing 3 students at Southside. 1 started today and 2 more starting next week. So we're excited to continue to expand our internship opportunities for our students. So all our CTE courses begin with the same 21 required workplace readiness competencies. The students can earn the digital badge demonstrating their understanding of these skills by taking the workplace readiness test. Our work-based learning allows students to apply those skills in a real-world setting. Students demonstrate critical thinking, professionalism, integrity, work ethic, and customer service daily, plus so much more. These skills are transferable and valued by our employers across all industries, which has led to our new Generals on the Job Spotlight. This is a new recognition designed to celebrate students who excel in their work-based learning placements and consistently go above and beyond. These students model professionalism, initiative, and responsibility. This recognition highlights the positive impacts that our students are making within our schools and community workplaces. And thankfully, many of these students are here today so that we can recognize them, and you have the opportunity to meet our new Generals on the Job Spotlight students. I'd like to introduce you to first Marcus Williams. Chrislyn Wells. I'm not sure if she's here with us today. Okay. Ariana Boos. Dietrich Walker. Chloe Crafton. At this time, Chloe would like to share a little testimony about her work-based learning experience that she had in the main office.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak to you all today. My name is Chloe Crafton, and I'm here to tell you all about my experience as a student who was lucky enough to be a part of the work-study position here at Dinwiddie High School. Growing up as a year-round athlete, I never had any free time. To some, not working may sound like a dream, but in reality, I lacked the building blocks a young adult needs. Seeing that Dinwiddie offered an opportunity where I can gain the skills I lacked, I knew I had to jump on it. Although I was only working once a day for 90 minutes, I learned so much in that little time. I was positioned to work in the main office. I was very nervous the first couple of weeks, but after a while, I looked like a pro. When working in the office, you will see a lot, you will hear a lot, and you will be told a lot. It is essential that all information is kept confidential and handled with professionalism, discretion, and respect at all times. You will also learn how the office works, and you will eventually gain a new perspective of teachers and staff. Before, I never realized how much effort our staff puts into students like me. It's hard to put yourself in the shoes of someone who just wants the best for you, especially if they are not family. After being able to see firsthand how school runs from the inside, I can only wish other students saw what I did. I want to acknowledge 4 ladies who not only mentored me, but have left a big impact on me these past couple months. Brandy Lipscomb, Faya Prosize, Brandy Goodwin, and Tiffany Taylor. Although I worked as an intern for them, these ladies have given me the same respect as if I was one of their coworkers. Having that connection and growing a tighter bond with them has meant the world to me. I do not think I would have grown as much as I have as a person without them. Thank you, Dinwiddie, for providing me with this opportunity. I'm beyond grateful.
Leslie, this is just a list of our upcoming CTE events that we have. So the Reverse Career Fair is coming up on February 27th at Bright Point. A list of our testing that's coming up. We have another government day coming up with Dinwiddie County Government on March 17th. And then interview day, kindergarten ag days, and CTE signing days. So Ms. Wolfing and I wanted to leave you with, we have the newest, latest edition of our CTE magazine that's just hot off the press and came from the publisher. So we hope you enjoy that.
Good evening, Board. It is now time to recognize our Division Spelling Bee winners. This year's Division Spelling Bee winner is Megan Tabamo. Megan is a 7th grade student at Dinwiddie Middle School. She is the daughter of Mr. and Mrs. Mark Tabamo. Megan will move on to the Regional Spelling Bee on March 24th at Richmond Raceway. Is Megan here today? Okay, all right, not a problem. Next, our Division Spelling Bee runner-up is none other than Gabriel Saldana. Gabriel, would you please come forward? Gabriel is a 5th grade student at Dinwiddie Elementary School. He is the son of Crystal Mabry, and Gabriel, we have a little gift for you. Yes. Thank you. We'll take pictures after. Dr. Weston, would you like me to move forward?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I'll move up in the agenda. Mrs. Branch will come after with Teacher of the Year. Is she in the room now? Okay, you
Yeah,
ready?
she's right there.
You ready? Okay.
Good afternoon to all board members, superintendent, and everyone here assembled. It brings me great honor and pleasure to stand here to be able to talk about something good, which is the teachers that we have here in Dinwiddie County Public Schools. I truly believe that Dinwiddie has hidden talents among us. We are a rarity. We share something that is unique and special to this community, and I believe that by the end of this presentation, you will agree with me and you will understand why all of these teachers here today were selected as Teacher of the Year. So we're going to do our part and share with you some pertinent details about them. But before they come up here, I want you to know that many of our Teachers of the Year went through a rigorous process, going through a selection process at their school level. And then 6 out of our 7 Teachers of the Year applied for the division-wide Teacher of the Year, which is based off of the state award. It involves them submitting numerous essays concerning their philosophy on education, how they make a student impact, and their personal biography. So with that being said, I would like to recognize our first Teacher of the Year that we're going to highlight. And as I read a few things, Vanna White, aka Natanya Robinson Williams, will be assisting me this evening. But first, we would like to recognize from Dinwiddie Elementary, Miss Molly Tomlin. Molly Tomlin, believe it or not, has 25 years of teaching experience and has taught from 2nd to 4th and 5th grade and volunteered to go to kindergarten. She serves as a grade level chair and is the representative of her principal's advisory team. To her, the recognition and praise of her previous students and parents is her greatest achievement. Ms. Tomlin believes that all students have their own unique ways of learning. Her proudest moments come from helping young learners build a strong literacy foundation. She loves seeing their progress and their growth and feels that this is her greatest achievement. For this, we salute you, Ms. Tomlin. Congratulations. I did forget to note that many parents describe her as awesome, a heart of gold, and others say she is simply the best. From Midway Elementary, I would like to recognize Miss Melissa Watkins. Melissa is she's accomplished 6 years of teaching. She's currently teaching in the 2nd grade, and one of her students' parents wrote that she consistently goes above and beyond to support her students' academic and personal growth. She creates positive and inspiring learning environments and fosters a sense of belonging and acceptance for every student. She approaches them with empathy, understanding, and gives them confidence that will carry them on for life. She helps students see themselves as a valuable, contributing member of their community. Thank you so much, Ms. Watkins, for helping our students see their best. We'd also like to recognize today Mrs. Michelle Brockwell from Sutherland Elementary. Mrs. Brockwell has an extensive resume, and I know she holds great pride in her Rehoboth roots that have carried her forward into her present location at Sutherland. She has 34 years of teaching experience, and her philosophy of teaching is to love them first, teach them second. She believes that a warm classroom environment is a must. Her efforts have been seen across the county as a 20 to watch in 2019, a mentor to many student teachers, and a plethora of many new teachers entering their first year of education. She served on our curriculum writing team, and she has also stepped out of her comfort zone and introduced the Sunshine Fellowship Group to Sutherland, providing a source of inspiration and encouragement to many. Dr. Walker cited that she is deeply intentional about her instruction and ensures that all students, regardless of their ability level or background, are actively learning and making meaningful progress. This is demonstrated by her praising students and encouraging them when they have more to learn. I felt it was most notable to share that one of her former students wrote a letter on her behalf and said that he has never seen a teacher more approachable than Miss Brockwell. She is more than just a teacher to me. She's a role model, a leader, and someone that I still look up to. I couldn't imagine a better mentor to have to guide me at such a young age. And even this year, it was revealed that a student's parent was unable to transport him to school, and that student FaceTimed his grandparents and asked if they would take him to school because he didn't want to miss her class. 34 years ago, she started her career at Rehoboth, and today she says she still made the right decision. Thank you for choosing Dinwiddie County Public Schools, Ms. Brockwell. I'd also like to recognize a dynamic teacher among us, who is Ms. Kimberly Scott from Southside Elementary. Ms. Scott is known to many, particularly by her colleague, Ms. Kelly Perrin-Procyse, as an overachiever, a problem solver, and an innovative thinker. She's a dynamic member of the Southside team, and Mrs. Colbert, her principal, shares that she constantly incorporates movement, visuals, and manipulatives towards building foundational academic and communication skills. She even goes beyond that and incorporates socio-emotional learning strategies to help students resolve their own peer conflicts, and this is in kindergarten, I must say. So she's helping kindergartners resolve their own conflicts and use strategies that they are taught in her class. It goes without saying that she builds a strong sense of community, and families frequently share their appreciation for her responsiveness and her thoughtful communication. I'd like to close with a quote from one of Ms. Scott's essays. She says that her passion for teaching began at a very young age, and while many children had an imaginary friend, she had an entire classroom. Even then, teaching was not just something that she did, it was also who she was. And it's who she is today. I added that part. But her childhood passion has now grown into a lifelong commitment, and she considers teaching more than a career. It is her calling. Your calling is that, absolutely. So thank you again, Ms. Scott, for your wonderful service. I would also like to recognize one of our Bright Stars preschool teachers, Miss Melanie Easter from Sunnyside Elementary. Mrs. Easter is a member of the Sunnyside leadership team and is involved in many civic and community organizations. Her classroom received Exceeds Expectations from the Virginia Quality Birth to 5 system, reflecting consistently high levels of quality as measured through performance indicators. And this has now put her class in the top 3% of the VQ B5 program in the Commonwealth of Virginia. So she's among one of 101 teachers in the Commonwealth that deserves some recognition. She creates engaging activities that honor how children learn best through play, relationships, movement, and meaningful experiences. Most notably, her unit on community helpers and Our World has allowed her the opportunity to integrate math, science, social, emotional learning, and real-world connections. Mrs. Brooks, the program administrator for the Early Learning and Literacy Program, states that Mrs. Easter has a bubbly personality and a smile that truly lights up the room. Students feel loved, safe, valued, and excited to learn. An unforgettable smile and an unforgettable impact on the students of Sunnyside Elementary. We salute you, Miss Melanie Easter. From Dinwiddie Middle School, I would like to recognize Ms. Priscilla MacArthur. Ms. MacArthur is a 6th grade science teacher, and she has 5 years of teaching experience. She was one of the founders of the Culture Club at the middle school, a sponsor for the Recycling Club, and is also a volunteer cheer coach. So I can say one word: busy. She believes that every student is a scientist and is noted for her ability to provide differentiated learning through project-based learning and how she maximizes access to curriculum content for students. She's deeply committed to our English learners, and above all, she believes every student wants to be seen and heard. Being keenly aware of what it's like to be an invisible student, she has used those experiences in addition to socio-emotional learning methods to have meaningful conversations and interactions about emotions, goals, and challenges. She feels that this has transformed and shaped how she teaches today. She strives to be a teacher that students feel comfortable seeking support and guidance from. Thank you for being that source of support to our students, Ms. MacArthur. And now we would like to recognize Mrs. Susan Klein-Taylor, who is a science, biology, oceanography teacher at Dinwiddie High School. Among our 6 teachers that submitted an application, Ms. Klein-Taylor was given the distinction as our division-wide Teacher of the Year. Not only does Ms. Klein Taylor, or as her students call her, Ms. KT, she serves as an instructor by day here at Dinwiddie High School, and then in the, Yes, okay. And then in the evening at J. Sargent Reynolds Community College. She's known for bringing an exceptional level of passion, expertise, and real-world connection to her classroom. She's known as being deeply reflective and is always seeking ways to strengthen her instruction. Her principal, Mrs. Bailey, noted that she is a model and exemplar teacher. She is always in front of her classroom to greet students, and she sets the bar high for students as well as staff, oftentimes submitting her work ahead of time and making sure she brings all parties to the table in a collaborative spirit. The closing quotation I'd like to share from Ms. Klein's application is that she has a message not only to present educators, but to aspiring educators in the future. She says, "Do not fear the rising expectations. Embrace them. Our impact as educators is measured in our ability to prepare students for the future, not just the present. We are not just teaching subjects, we are building thinkers, innovators, and leaders of 2026 and beyond. Welcome to the most important work in the Commonwealth. I charge you to rise to it, embrace it fully, and own it boldly." Thank you, Ms. Klein-Taylor, for setting the bar high for your students, for preparing them beyond high school, but making them responsible citizens and prepared for the world. I ask each and every one of you here, not just those standing before me, but that you take some of the words that Ms. Klein-Taylor shared through her essay and put them in your heart and embrace your role as an educator, as a support person, whatever it may be, and own it boldly, as she said. With that, I've closed with all of my remarks for our Dinwiddie Teachers of the Year, and I say congratulations to all of you. We also realized that their success would not be possible without the support of their friends and family members. So I would like to ask if there are any of you present that are here in support of your favorite Teacher of the Year, can you please stand so that we can recognize you as well? Congratulations to all of you.
This week, we want to shine a spotlight on our board clerk, Elizabeth Rainey, and our deputy board clerk, Hannah Burnett. This week is School Board Clerks Week, so thank you, ladies, for your dedication and your support to our schools. Thank you. We have gifts in a few minutes, okay? Let's see. This month is also School Board Appreciation Month, and so we are recognizing our very own DCPS school board members. We are thankful for each of you. Being a board member requires long hours, careful decision-making, and a willingness to navigate complex issues. To our two youngest leaders, Janice, who is absent, and Jake Everett, thank you for bringing an essential and powerful perspective to our school board. Your voice matters, and through your participation, you are learning firsthand how governance works. On behalf of our students who benefit from safe, supportive, and engaging learning environments, our teachers and our staff who feel supported in their work, and our families who trust our schools with what matters most to them, Reverend Dwayne Walker, Chair, Miss Barbara Pittman, Vice Chair, Dr. Elaine Pearson, Miss Mary Benjamin, Mr. Jason Brown II, Janice Green, Jake Everett, we say thank you. I hope you enjoy your gifts. We put some thought into it. It's going to keep you nice and warm, and it's made specially for you. For Reverend Walker and Jason, you're going to be hip with the young guys because you have quarter zips in your bag, okay? At this time, like I said, we have passed out gifts, and at this time, I think we'll have other school administrators to please come forward with their gifts. And if they have something to say, please come forward.
Thank you.
Good evening, Board. Dr. Weston. I don't know how I got nominated to be the spokesperson for this, but I told him I would go ahead and do it. We would just like to say thank you so much for your support and everything that you do for our schools. And the principals came together, and we have a little bit of something for you. So once again, thank you for your support throughout the year.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
We also wanted to let you know that you should look closely in the bag because there is a little bit of like a little gift in there that you can spend at the best store in America, the general store. Yes. So make sure you look closely in your bag for that. And then there's also something from each school. So we kind of combined it and went together. So you'll see lots of goodies in there and cards from each of the 7 schools. Okay.
Okay, gotcha.
Thank you so much. At this time, we'll have comments from the board about all the things we've seen and heard over these last few moments. Dr. Pearson, are you okay if we start down there with you?
Certainly, certainly. I've enjoyed all the presentations. I was delighted to hear how enthusiastic some of our teachers are after they've been doing it for 34 years. They still show up the next day and give everything they've got. Personally, having had 34 years in education, I was with you all the way. That first September, when the buses rolled and I wasn't on my way to school, I cried. I think it actually took me the whole month of September before I decided that it's okay, I can stay at home. I can still go to a game. I can still go up and walk through the halls. I can still serve on committees. I moved to Dinwiddie, and I pretty much was at home. But I'm so glad to have the opportunity to serve District 1 as their school board representative. And I thank you all so very much.
We all have such respect for our Teachers of the Year. It's when you're nominated and selected by your, not only the principals who are your supervisors, but your peers and the children that you have taught and the parents that whose children you have dealt with. It says so much about not only your teaching abilities and your experience, but it speaks volumes to your dedication and your character. So thank you so much for those of you that have been selected. I also like to say to the CTE department, we are seeing growth every single year, expansion and changes, and that's what we need to do in this world of work and get students qualified to either go to work, go into the military, or go to college. And we have made great strides in that over the years through your leadership in the CTE department. And to the spelling bee people, I just, I don't even compare. I do well if I can get it right with spell check. So so much respect for those children who can spell like that. Thank you.
Okay. Good evening to everybody. I mean, this recognition month can be summed up in one word: awesome. Because when you're Dinwiddie, there's so much to say, and we will be here a very long time. Awesome teachers and staff, awesome parents, awesome students, and it all has been shown here tonight. And I just thank you and appreciate each of you.
Just recovering from a cold, so bear with me. But I guess I'll start with a little bit of vulnerability. When I came into our closed session for the school board meeting, I wasn't in the best of moods today. And I started to think back on some of my experiences while serving on the board. And sometimes it can be so frustrating when you want to have everything perfect, a perfect classroom, a perfect school system, in a really imperfect world. I think parents can see that often when you're trying to raise your kid and give them the perfect environment, and then there are things outside of your control that tend to jeopardize all of that. So sometimes I've had that frustration of wanting everything to be just right for our students and our families, and then just something comes up, right? And it's outside of my control. But all of that is kind of undone when I start to see our teachers who are committed to it. I've only been on the board this is my 3rd year, and we've got teachers that have served 34 plus years, teachers that have served 50 plus years, 60. I can't remember what the highest was when we had our retirement party. But that being said, there are people that are committed to it. And if they're committed to it, if they're just as committed to our students, that should encourage me and the rest of the board to do the same. And I know that what we do can be very stressful work, but it's really only a fragment of what our teachers are experiencing, especially being on the front line. So if there is anything that we can do to help out our teachers, please let us know. Please let me personally know. I'd be more than happy to help out. To Spelling Bee winners, I love the Spelling Bee. I was a winner when I was a kid, and so I always look forward to it every year. And I wish they had it for adults. Give us a bunch of I think I'd be pretty good at it. So if anyone wants to sign up for that, let me know. Definitely congratulations to the both of you. And then for the CTE recognition and Rwani, thank you for the work that you're doing with our students there. I know that when I was going through Dinwiddie schools, Rwani's had started to have some sort of a reputation of just being like an alternative school, right? And I have seen that because of the programs that we're putting in place and because of the teachers we have in place there, it's becoming something where kids are saying, this is the school for me. And when you're able to say, this is the school for me, this is the teacher of the year, this is my calling, using language like that really shows that Dinwiddie has something different that a lot of other school districts don't. So thank you for that.
Yeah, like Ms. Benjamin stated, it is Appreciation Week. I don't know if I deserve all of these nice gifts we got over here. But, thank you for letting me serve on this board, and I just want to give another thank you to Dr. Lathrop, Ms. Clary, and Ms. Woolfolk for all the work they're doing with the CTE. I just want to have another huge shout out to our teachers and round of applause because they don't get appreciated.
Yeah, I would just like to echo everything here. I would like to thank personally Dr. Lathrop. It's been a pleasure to be able to work with you. I get to be the superintendent of record for Rwani, and I think he thought he was going to get rid of me, but then when you stepped up to be the board chair, he has to put up with me for a whole nother year now. So we're going to continue to work on creating the future over there. As far as the CTE recognition, the work that we do is about what happens the day after graduation. And so everything that Jamie and Carly and the team are working on is so very, very important for young people because we want them to be opportunity ready. We want them, whatever they decide to do, we want them to be ready for that. I was really surprised because I thought I thought she worked at Dinwiddie High School because every time I go there, she's got a different job over there. So she's always greeting people in the office. So, but I was excited to see that you're going into elementary education. So we do have to make sure we sign her up before she leaves us to go to college. And then I saw, Chloe, you want to be a surgeon. And I was just wondering, you had that on your arm. I was wondering if you'd been practicing. Just wanted to be certain that you know not to do that, but it was. But our young people, generals on the job, I love that. And to see Annette Nicholas here, she's works for the county, but we do have such a great partnership with our county. And it really is helpful for us to have that support. I love that we're able to collaborate on so many efforts because we all benefit as a community when we invest in the young people here in our community. So I'm really appreciative of that. I believe that nothing in this school system. Is my time up? Is that you? Okay, I promise, Ms. Sims, I'm wrapping up right now. the most important place that the work happens is inside our classrooms with our teachers. There's no other more important place. And I'm so, so very grateful for the teachers that we have in front of our young people. And I'm grateful for their dedication, for their service, they stick with it. They care for our young people. You're absolutely right, Ms. Brockwell. We have to love them first. I was most recently in Ms. Brockwell's classroom, and so I did get to experience firsthand that classroom is truly a community. They call each other friends in there. Hello, friend. I mean, the way they talk to one another, it's such a beautiful, beautiful experience. And so I just loved hearing it through the students' lens. I love Ms. Klein-Taylor hearing what the young people call you and how they talk about you. They don't forget. And I think teachers don't get to see the evidence of the influence you have on a kid's life until much later. But I'm here to tell you that I will tell you that every educator, every one of us probably are sitting here where we are today, and we can give that to, that's a testament of teachers, people that have invested in us and spoke into our lives. And so if you have a chance to tell a teacher that you appreciate them, please don't forget to do that. And then finally, I just want to say that we would not, as a school district, be who we are if we didn't have these board members. That we have, because these are truly servant leaders. They believe in young people, they believe in grown people, and they walk the talk every single day. Jake had the opportunity to go, did you and Janice? You and Janice went to the Virginia School Board Association, and he said that when they came back, they said that they got to hear from other young people talk about the school boards, and then to come back and say, man, we love each other. We get along great here. It was so, so different. Because across the Commonwealth, it isn't always that way. They didn't get along. So it is such a pleasure to work with people who truly know what their purpose is, and they live it, and they work in it every single day, isn't it, Jake? And so I just want to say that we all appreciate you as a school board leading us every single day and leading us with heart. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
I would like to thank Ms. Rainey, of course, Ms. Golson before her, and Dr. Weston for the work that they do to put together the agendas for our meetings every month, because they have consistently, as long as I've been on the board, and I think for years before that, made student and staff recognition a part of our monthly meetings. And my colleagues on a number of occasions over the past 3 years have mentioned that this is their favorite part of our board meetings. And I would echo that sentiment. Sometimes when we come out of closed sessions where very intense discussions are had, you kind of question, why did you volunteer for this? Why did you sign up for this? And then you come in here and you have students and teachers stand in front of you, and you're reminded this is why we're here. Yeah. And you're reminded that there is a lot of good happening. So I appreciate the work that's done to make that a part of our agenda each month. I think it's intentional, but I think it's appropriate and it's important. Mm-hmm. We exist for the purpose of students. Yeah. That's why we're here. That's our purpose. And so it's good to see students succeeding, to see people in a work-study program that's setting them up for success after school, to see students achieving things like spelling bee champion. Gabriel, the first time that I ever sat in front of this room was not 2.5 years ago. It was in the spring of 1987 in a spelling bee. And on 3 occasions, I represented our county in the state spelling bee. I'll tell you a fun story. So in 1992,
that's right.
We'll have a showdown later. In 1992, I was in the last 7 in the state of Virginia, the state spelling bee, and the young lady that sat next to me was a young lady named Amanda Goad, and she won the national spelling bee, and was on the Jay Leno show that year as a national spelling bee champ. So what an awesome experience that was for me, and you're the next one. I look forward to seeing you and Megan do well in the spelling bee and going forward. But just seeing kids succeed, it makes all the other stuff worth it. It does. And as much as the students are our purpose, I think it's important to note that the teachers are our heartbeat. We have a lot of moving parts in this organization, but the most important part is the teachers. Yeah. We don't serve our purpose if we don't have teachers. And I firmly and strongly believe that the teachers that we have in Dinwiddie are the best. And so we had some of the best up here in front, but there are a handful of the best sitting in the seats today that didn't get up in the front. We don't have enough plaques to go around. And it's unfortunate that we have to pick sometimes. And we picked good ones. But there's lots of good teachers in this room and lots of good teachers not in this room that serve the students of Dinwiddie. And so that's, if I'm being honest, that's why I serve. I serve for students and teachers. That's my passion in this position, is to do the best that I can to make sure that students and teachers have what they need and feel the support. They feel heard. And so we're grateful for you. And thank you for being here tonight. We really appreciate you. We have some more business that we have to take care of, unfortunately, and it is part of our open session. And so you're welcome to stay, but I know a lot of you don't want to stay. And so we're going to give you an hour. We're going to take a 3-minute recess, 3 to 5 minute recess, so that you can slip out if you don't want to stay for the business. And also so that Ms. Robinson Williams can get some pictures in the hallway. So if you need to step out at this time, we'll have a 3-minute recess, and we'll reconvene after that. Call the meeting back to order at this time.
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve the expenditure report as presented.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we approve the expenditure reports that have been presented to us tonight. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries.
Mr. Chair, I move that the minutes of January 13th, 2026 be accepted as written.
Second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded that we approve the minutes from January 13th, 2026. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Now we have some board matters before us. First, an improvement plans and grants for federally. Dr. Clay.
Good afternoon or good evening now. I'll be presenting with Kevin Walker, our grants coordinator. So this evening we are going to speak to you about school improvement plans and grants and kind of go through this process. New this year from VDOE, the school improvement plans for federally identified schools do have to be approved by the board. So you were given earlier each school's plan. There's a packet for the 3 schools for you to review. We're going to go over the main points of this in our presentation. So first, school improvement, just in general, we have talked about this before when we talked about the new school performance framework, that there are certain schools based on the school performance framework and federal guidelines that the Virginia Department of Education federally identifies. Okay, this process did change a little bit this year, whereas generally it used to be it was just about the pass rate for students in reading and math. This year they are using the Virginia School Performance Framework, so I just want to briefly explain that to you with this slide. So what the Virginia Department of Education has done with the new School Performance and Support Framework is they are looking at what they call CSI schools, which are comprehensive support schools based on federal identification across the state, okay? They look at the School Performance Framework indicator scores for the highest performing CSI elementary school in this case, and those scores are here on this slide. So these performance scores are from the highest performing comprehensive support school. And if any elementary school's subgroup scores fall below this in all 3 areas, reading, math, and science, they are then federally identified for that subgroup, okay? We can talk about that more later if you want to, and you can ask questions at the end, but just want you to understand that has changed a little bit. So for Dinwiddie County Public Schools, we do have 3 elementary schools that are federally identified for the subgroup of students with disabilities, and that is Dinwiddie Elementary, Southside Elementary, and Sutherland Elementary School. And just a reminder, the Virginia Department of Education has chosen for those 3 schools to drop their performance label 1 label. Okay, that is a choice that they have made. So when a school is federally identified, we do call that school improvement. There are some requirements that are now written into Virginia code. All right, so this slide kind of outlines those requirements, and so they are written into the law now. Needs assessment, a multi-year school plan, which is what we're going to go over this evening. The plan has to be created not in isolation, but in partnership with internal and external stakeholders at the school level. Schools must have at least 2 evidence-based interventions included. Again, it has to be approved by the local school board, and it will be published then on the school division and the school's websites. The plans have to be forward-facing, and the plan must then be monitored by the school division. For the multi-year school plan, it is a 3-year plan that they have written. And their components would be a 3-year goal, measurable objectives, and action steps in the area of reading, math, and science. Because if you remember that previous slide, they're not just looking at reading and math anymore. It's all 3 of those content areas. Science has been included. They must include progress monitoring methods. So how are we going to check that this is really happening and having the impact we want, basically, right? Measures of success for each action step must be included. Again, the evidence-based interventions for reading and math. Science, they just have to have action steps. The way the Department of Education looks at evidence-based interventions, the sites they have us use do not include science evidence-based interventions, okay? And then strategies in general for science improvement. So we will start with Dinwiddie Elementary School's plan. Again, you do have that in front of you. What we're going to give you this evening is kind of the balcony view, the bullet points of what that plan includes, okay? So action steps or strategies that the school will put in place for students with disabilities for improvement will include professional development. And they're already doing this, so just so you know. Professional development on the reading and math evidence-based intervention. You see there EBI, so if you hear me say EBI, it's about that evidence-based strategy that works for student improvement. There'll be PD on specially designed instruction for students with disabilities, and just in general, engaging hands-on activities that are aligned to the standards of learning, just good instruction. Administrators will meet with teachers during their professional learning community time. They're going to look at data. They're going to talk with teachers about the implementation of the strategies, get feedback from teachers, and see if the PD or the professional learning time is being implemented. Teachers and administrators will focus on lesson planning, lesson preparation, instructional delivery that's evidence-based, engaging. And again, when you hear this, some of these action steps, we are saying, well, this is not new. Nope, it's just good instruction. So all of this is not things that are new to our staff. Exceptional education teachers and co-teachers will participate in a book study on specially designed instruction. So specially designed instruction is instruction that works for students with disabilities. Instruction for students with disabilities should look a little different, right, based on their IEP goals and things of that nature. All pre-K through 5th grade students are going to make math and science bags to take home that include a book, a science activity, a math activity, because part of this is about family engagement to help students. Teachers and staff will provide opportunities, again, for family engagement. They have a math night planned a little further down. They're going to have a science week and a science fair and a science night. I will say for Dinwiddie Elementary, those science activities and their intentional focus on science created great gains for them last year. So they're just continuing that work because it is working. There'll be support for them from Collaborative Teaching and Learning Group, CTLG. So this is a consulting agency that's Virginia-based that works with schools across the state on aligned, engaging instruction. So they will come in for math and science support, do observations with their administrators, and then sit with teachers during PLC to have discussions on, hey, what's working, what's not working, how could you do this in a more effective manner? And then the last 2 bullet points are just about the implementation of the steps will be monitored and how that will occur. And the school leadership team will meet regularly to go back to this plan. It's a living document. So they may have to make adjustments to that plan. So they will come back to it. Some of these steps are the same for every school, so I won't read them all again. So basically, many of the steps each school is doing, because again, it's things that are already working: professional development, time in PLC, data review, lesson preparation that's aligned to the standards of learning. Southside also has a family-focused science and math night that will be held that will have activities that are aligned to those EBIs, those evidence-based interventions, to help families and show families how to help their children at home. Southside, this one step is a little different from Dinwiddie Elementary. Teachers in grades K-5 will integrate that evidence-based literacy intervention into science. Okay, and they're going to do that through science trade books that are aligned to the standards, anchor charts, graphic organizers, with that focus on decoding and comprehension. CTLG is still in there, and again, the monitoring piece for them and the fact that their team will meet and come back to this plan and talk about the impact and look at data, that is the same. So lastly, Sutherland's plan, again, a lot of these steps are the same because they're things that are already in place. a focus on lesson planning and preparation. Sutherland will host a family-focused STEM in the gym night as part of this to engage students and families, again, hands-on, standards aligned, science investigations, and math problem-solving experiences to help with those skills. They are also integrating those reading or literacy EVIs into science with the trade books that we talked about, so kind of cross-content. And again, those last three steps, CTLG and how it will be monitored, are the same. Okay? And then I will turn it over to Kevin for the money piece.
Okay. Greetings, board members. I have the pleasure of going over with you the funding, right? We have the plan in place. We have been afforded the opportunity to get supplemental help from our state. So with this school improvement grant under section 1003 funds, which is a supplement to Title I, it is to supplement a Title I grant that we currently already have. So this is an additional piece to the Title I part. All right, and these funds are awarded to local educational agencies, or LEA, on a competitive basis to support efforts to improve the students' outcomes that our school has been identified as targeted support and improvement. Activities supported with these funds must be consistent with the school's multi-year plan, which Dr. Clay has already gone over. The schools already have plans in place and what they plan to implement. And under the ESEA section of 1003, LEAs must ensure that each identified school serves the section funds the funds that will receive all state and local funds. It won't have received in the absence of the section 103B, right? So we're already using local and state funds to do what we need to do, but as I stated earlier, this is a supplemental piece of it. Okay. Oh, I'm going the other way. Okay, sorry. All right. And as we are targeted support and improvement award, we can receive up to $45,150 per school. And the period of performance of the award will run from October 2025 through September 30th, 2026. And the improvement, all award school improvement grant funding, we must have that encumbered by the end of September, and all reimbursements put into the state system by the 15th of November. What can we spend it on? Allowable uses of these funds, which are already built into the plan as far as instructional interventions, staffing, and professional development that will be heavily used in student support, anything that we need there, assessments, data monitoring, and any family engagement piece that the plans are stating that we will be doing per each school. And this is an overview. These next few slides will be an overview of how the schools have built their budgets and what they have in their plan, and everything is based on the EBI, what we have per school breakdown. So as of right now, Dinwiddie Elementary has budgeted $36,041.11. She intends to use personal services for her working book study. Along with that goes employee benefits, and then her supplies and instructional materials, which she'll be using to purchase books, student materials, and classroom supports, and then her purchase services, which we will be using CTLG for that, for any additional instruction supports and interventions. Southside, total budget, it's $41,906.27, and how she will be utilizing her budget for her support plan, which is purchase services, which all of them are using CTLG for their instructional support, and then she will be purchasing supplies and materials as well to go along with those science and math nights that they have planned in their plan, and anything else to support their overall plan. And lastly, Sutherland, which has budgeted $39,601.19. And she plans on using her budget as purchase services of $34,000 and then supplies and materials of $5,601.19. In our next steps, like I said, this is new this year where we have to present to you all and get your approval of it. In our multi-year plan supports and our school improvement grant application, we have to put the package together to submit that. Get the budget submitted to VDOE, put all of that stuff together, which we plan to do tomorrow. Our multi-year plan supports posted on our divisional school website. Each school, of course, implements and monitors the school year support plan, and as well, any division monitoring of multi-year supporting plans through learning walks, principal checks, connects, and stuff like that, and goes with the school improvement grant funding spending monitor. I had the obligation and duty to monitor how we spend the funds, what we're spending the funds on, and make sure it's allowable and we're using the funds correctly. Okay. Any questions?
I have a few questions, Mr. Walker.
Yep.
Forgive me because they're probably not good questions. But just help me understand. So when did we get approved for this grant?
Well, we have to submit the application.
So we're not
We've been
approved yet.
identified, right? But
Okay.
the process is we have to go through.
We're already spending the money though, or how does it? Like, okay, so this starts next year.
No, this is going to start this year.
Okay.
Once we go through this and then we submit everything to VDOE, it's a lag. I know the period of performance says one, but when you get federal funding, it's typically a year, right?
Okay.
So we're on VDOE's
So we'll
timeline.
start spending it this year.
Yes,
But this money isn't in our budget that we worked through with Ms. Fleming's. Okay. And so the other question I have is, it says that all the receipts and stuff had to be turned in by November or by fall of this year.
Right.
So is this just for one, because it's a multi-year plan? So will we get additional, once we get in the system, will we start getting recurring?
The target, what we have been identified under the targeted support will just be this spending as a one-time amount of the 40, what we will be applying for. But your plan, and Dr. Clay can speak more to it, is a continuing, ongoing plan.
And the reason I ask that is because if we create a plan that's based on having this money and then we don't have it next year and it's a multi-year plan.
I can speak to that.
Okay, that's the reason.
So, I mean, generally a school should be creating a multi-year plan, just like we have a strategic plan that's over multiple years, correct? So schools, I would say from VDOE, the identification did not come until right before winter break.
Right.
That's when we received the information. From that, we're kind of in a waiting period because before they'll tell you what to do, they have a webinar and they want to send out information. That happened right after, sometime after winter break, early January. We had to attend a virtual session with them. Then they send all the information. The turnaround is like super quick. But to your point about the multi-year plan, like CTLG support, it's only from now until September. So that's one little piece of their plan. So the way they've written their plan is things like the professional development, time, looking at data, PLC time, aligned lesson planning and preparation. Those are the things that will be ongoing. So the CTLG support or the family engagement night has to happen this year. And so then next year, what their team will do, if they're not federally identified, which is the goal, right? They still have to have a plan because every school has to have a continuous school improvement plan, right? VDOE just provides this beautiful template for us, but every year, every school has to have a continuous school improvement plan. So what their team will do is come back together, look at that data in May or June. Hey, yay, we're not federally identified anymore. What steps do we need to revise now? Because we're still going to do things that work for kids because we're always in a state of improvement. But CTLG may not be a part of this anymore. And the way we may not be able to fund a big family engagement night like this through SIG, but we can do something a little different that doesn't, cost as much money as that. It's a great question.
So I saw that we were approved, if I understood this right, for up to 45,000 and some change per school.
Right.
None of our schools budgeted for that. We don't get it unless we find a way to spend 45,000. we can't find a way to, I told you I have dumb questions, but
No,
it's not a dumb question, but you want to make sure you utilize what
you don't want to take it and not spend it.
and not spend it, because we're going to have to write and give them an explanation of, hey, you asked for 45, 150, right?
Okay.
Why didn't you spend the rest, all of it?
Okay.
Okay, per se.
So, Dr. Clay, in our MTSS meetings, that I think the word that we started throwing around because of me is eduspeak. Is that the word?
It's a lot of eduspeak,
Is that the
Mr.
word that
Walker.
teachers use?
Yes, EBI would be eduspeak.
For the sake of people like me who don't speak that language.
Sure.
Help me understand the connection between this, or the lack of connection between this and accreditation.
Oh, absolutely. And it is different now. I mean, for my whole educational career, accreditation has been about SOL scores until now, right? So accreditation is about the standards of quality now. So it's various things. There's a whole list that we provided you. We can definitely look at that list again and talk more about that. But accreditation is about a checklist. Are your schools doing?
So is this on the checklist?
Yes, it is.
So this is for accreditation.
This is part of the accreditation checklist. If you're federally identified, there are some things in there, because remember, in the beginning of these slides, they've now written this into Virginia code, what the requirements are for federally identified schools. So yes, absolutely, it is there.
One more dumb question. Did all of this happen because of a new administration? The only reason I ask is this something that in 3 months is going to go away because it's so...
So federal identification, we had schools federally identified for the past 2 years.
So this isn't coming from VDOE, or is it coming from federal?
It's connected. So it comes from the federal government, and then the state has to basically, what does that look like in your state? So for the past 2 years, it's solely been about pass rate. So I can show you a website later that has the kind of the benchmark or the cut pass rate, I would say, for every subgroup in reading and math. And it's this plan that goes, this year here is the pass rate. Next year it goes up. Next year it goes up. Next year it goes up. So for the past several years, that's how schools have been federally identified. Now Virginia is saying, this is where the difference came this year. We have this new performance framework. So we're going to look at federal identification a little different, because every school division that's a public school across the United States has federal identification. How Virginia is doing it is based on this performance framework. So they're saying with these indicator scores, we're going to look at this differently. And that's kind of that slide I showed in the beginning, where they are looking at the highest performing, and they do this for elementary, middle, and high. We just don't have our middle and high school are not federally identified. So they look at the highest performing comprehensive support school. Comprehensive support school is a form of federal identification, but it is the highest form.
Why
Yes.
are middle school and high school not federally identified?
Because they surpassed the thresholds. So all of their subgroups. So remember, to be federally identified, they're looking at an indicator score in reading, math, and science. Okay, it's based on the highest performing CSI school. And so to be federally identified, your subgroups, students with disabilities, white students, black students, multiple races, economically disadvantaged, those subgroups have to be below those thresholds in all three contents. So we do have schools that are below the thresholds in maybe 2 content areas, but you have to be under those thresholds that they put out in all 3 content areas to be federally identified for that subgroup. Next year, the thresholds will be different. You're aiming at a moving target and you don't know what the target is.
The only subgroup we have an issue with right now is students with disabilities.
That's correct.
Is that anyone with an IEP?
Or 504 plan.
Okay.
That is correct. And I will say, this is an issue across the number of federally identified schools across the state has dramatically increased. And we have work to do. And, these are federally identified schools, but I want to remind us, every school has a school improvement plan that they have to have every year. So we're all working on how do we keep getting better for students every year? How do we, do things that improve their outcomes? And those are great questions, Mr. Walker, by the way. I mean, they are. Because no, it's okay, because I think part of the reason we present these things is we want you to understand the work that's happening in our schools, because people are working really hard.
But the goal is to get out of school.
That is the goal.
We do not. Right? 'Cause we don't want to be.
We don't want that.
Identified.
That's right.
One of the nuances of this is how big the group is everywhere. I mean, you could have 5 kids in a group
That's right.
and 2 of them at the high school, the group might be 25.
disabilities at one school.
Yeah, well, it depends on the subgroups. So if you had 2 kids in some subgroup and one of them
Yeah.
is passing, that's a 50%. Yeah.
Right. That's a great point too, Ms. Pittman, because with this, you have to have at least 15 students in the subgroup to get that indicator score. So that's a great point as well. Any other questions this evening?
You answered all mine.
Okay. And we're always here to answer questions, even if you think of some after this evening.
It's, it's apples and oranges, but like 2 months ago, we were honoring schools for some great things they've done. And then you turn around the next month and this one's on the list.
That's right. That's right.
Wait a minute.
It's confusing, especially for people that don't speak the language.
Sure, and I mean, also a great point, because I want to remind us that each of these schools had growth. Like, Southside's on that list of the top 5 schools in Virginia for English learner growth. Dinwiddie Elementary, I can't remember the points right now, but their science growth was phenomenal. And truly, with the new support framework, they're on track. But federal identification bumps you down, right? So they all have things to celebrate. This is just like Mr. Walker's saying, we don't want to be federally identified, and we truly believe next year we won't be, but there's work to be done.
Unfortunate. I mean, but it's fortunate and unfortunate. The federal government sends us money down.
Right.
States say, hey, we'll set aside this piece of funding. Right. I mean, because then it's political.
Yeah,
I mean, really,
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate what you guys have helped me understand.
Absolutely. And I do also just want to say to our principals, assistant principals, and their teams that have worked on this, I mean, they're very dedicated to improving student outcomes. It's been a lot of hard work, and they're dedicated to improving. And so I just appreciate the true care that each of them has and their teams for this work. So I can't let that go unnoticed.
Any other questions?
So we do need approval this evening.
I move that we approve the multi-school year support plans that have been presented.
Second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded that we approve the comprehensive compensation plan, and we need to approve the
School improvement.
school improvement plan. I have moved down a line. Yeah. All right, so.
I'm going to let someone else talk about that.
Yeah, we haven't even heard that presentation yet. So it's been moved and seconded, am I right, Ms. Pittman?
Yes.
That we are approving the federally identified schools improvement plans and their grants. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Thank you so much.
Thank you. And now the comprehensive classification and compensation plan study.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Pastor Walker, I thought, wow, I didn't have to say a mumbling word, and I am approved. But I'm here today to speak to you about our comprehensive classification and compensation plan study that we would like to embark upon. I would like to start my comments by saying that it's been an honor and a pleasure to work with Mrs. Jenna Athey, who is our new finance and procurement specialist, and it was great to be able to work alongside her as this being one of her first projects in the procurement area. So I do want to say great job to you, Jenna, and thank you to the finance team as well for helping this be a seamless process for us. But I stand before you today because I'm seeking your permission and approval for us to enter into a classification and compensation study. As you all know, I stood before you here in December December, and we got approval to raise our substitute rates as a result of the increase to the minimum wage that was effective January 1st of this year. And we also know that there are plans to raise our minimum wage to $15 an hour by 2028. So it's pivotal that we have some support at this time through the classification and compensation study to help us be able to chart the future for how we will prepare for those potential changes. In addition to these changes from the state level, we also have had a variety of challenges such as market fluctuations and being able to attract and retain the best talent in several key positions that we have here within the school division. Our last compensation study was in 2021, and industry recommends that we do a new study every 3 to 5 years. So we're at that point in time where it's time for us to revisit it again. So what we're asking for in this compensation and classification study is to look at our unified pay plan scale, as well as our bus driver scale, and to provide recommendations about our degree supplements, among other things. We had about 18 offers that or proposals that were submitted in our request for proposal, and from those 18, we narrowed it down to 6 companies that met our evaluation process. We did those interviews on January 15th, and then from those 6 interviews, Baker Tilly Advisory Group LP was recommended as our consultant for this study. So we have moved forward in the next step of the process, which was the notice of intent to award that was put out on Friday. We have a 10-day waiting period that we must allow. So after that waiting period expires, we would ask that we would have your permission to move forward in having conversations with Baker Tilly towards us being able to complete the classification and compensation study. Our hope would be is that we would be able to provide some recommendations within next year's budget proposal. So that would be FY 2028. So this would give us, a good opportunity to have, some a launching pad, so to speak, to be able to thoroughly address our needs and concerns and be able to come back to you with a well thought out recommendation.
Is this a company we've used before?
We actually have. They were under a different name. Previously, they were under the name of Springstead, but though Springstead was acquired by Baker Tilly, they worked with us back in, was it 2016 or 2018, Christy?
Originally
somewhere in there?
2008. 2007, we did a study, but it was never implemented due to the recession.
Right.
And then they did circle back in like 2016, 2017 with some consulting.
Yes. And so we feel comfortable because they already have some familiar knowledge with their school division and with some of the challenges that we have. They also have the tools that we can be able to use to sustain us after the study is completed for when we get into challenging situations such as the market fluctuations that I talked about, and being able to be competitive. We'll be able to have some of those tools that we can use to help us be able to make decisions in the moment on, what would be the best for us. Are there any additional questions?
No, I think we need the study. We ready for motion? Mr. Chair, I move that we accept the report from coming from Ms. Branch Comprehensive Classification Compensation Plan Study, and approve that they move forward with it.
Second. All right, so it's been moved and seconded that we approve the comprehensive classification and compensation plan study with Baker Tilly, right?
Yes.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Branch.
Good evening again.
Good evening again.
So, as you know, There's been some snow. I do want to start with whoever is like wearing backwards pajamas, flushing ice cubes down the toilet, praying for snow. You have great prayer. The Lord is listening. Please stop. Okay? Please stop. Take down your snowflakes, your snowman. All right. So we have missed quite a few days. As you know, our 25-26 calendar did include 9 bank days, which is about 54 instructional hours worth of bank time, meaning a little extra time built in as a cushion. We have exhausted that time. We missed 4 days for weather in December. In January, 5 more days, and that was it for us, but somebody kept praying. So then February 3rd and 4th were also missed. And then there was a 2-hour delay on February 5th. Remember, because we go with the hours, not the days, anytime we have an early release or a 2-hour delay, we have to subtract those hours from the calendar, okay? So we are past our bank time by, I believe, 14 hours. And you have this bulleted list that you were given in closed session. So we're 14 hours past our bank time. Then on top of that, Sunnyside did have to remain closed 2 additional days because of the water leak in McKinney. They did not have water. So that's an additional time on top of the time the rest of our schools missed. VDOE does have a weather waiver process. We had to apply for a weather waiver last year for Dinwiddie Middle School because they missed in excess of everyone else because of the boiler issue, the fire. That process does require evidence of efforts where we have tried to make up time. Okay, so we do need to try to restore some instructional time to our calendar because we are past our bank time. Okay, we do not want to take spring break. So we're trying not to take those days. We don't have a lot of days off left in the calendar. There's 1 teacher work day, and we do want to protect that if we can, right? We have 1 more work day, and then we have spring break and Memorial Day. So in order to protect that time, what we are proposing this evening is to add 15 minutes to each day, beginning February 23rd. We want to give everyone some time this week and next week to kind of figure out the transportation schedule, principals to figure out the schedules in their building, and parents and families to adjust. 15 minutes is minimal in the big scheme of things, right? But that 15 minutes, if we don't miss any more time and we begin February 23rd, it will add 2.5 days, or 15.25 instructional hours. So we're making up that missed time. We're showing that effort because we will have to submit a weather waiver for Sunnyside. That's still not going to make up their time. So we will still have to submit that. And in that, we'll have to show our effort to make up time. With the 15 minutes being added, we'll add that to the end of the day. So the new release times would be 3:45 for elementary, 2:30 for Dinwiddie High School, and 2:40 for Dinwiddie Middle School. And so this evening, what we are asking is your approval of that additional time just for this school year. So from February 23rd until we end in May, we would add those 15 minutes to the school day. Questions?
Are we still earning bank time as we are, or that 9,
No, ma'am.
that was counting already then?
Yes, ma'am. That was all the bank time we had built in.
So if we leave early or come in late, anything else
We will, but I would say we just have to show the effort that we're trying. Like, we're not going to come back to you and say, can we now add 30 minutes? We're not going to do that. We just have to show the effort that we are trying to make up time.
And then we would apply to
That's correct. The waiver, and again, we're already going to apply for that waiver for Sunnyside Elementary.
And also the, what we wanted to do is to be as least disruptive to the current day as possible, and this is the way to do that.
I don't have a question. I just want to state this publicly because I know this is going to be a hot button issue. Because anytime we change the schedule for parents, I love this idea because with attendance being, what is the word we use? one of those boxes we have to check.
Yeah.
If we took away spring break, I know there are a lot of families who wouldn't send their kids to school
Sure.
during spring break. This is a great way for us to do this
That's
without.
right, and protect that time.
Yes.
Yeah, so I think it's a great idea for that reason alone. So I'll vote in favor of it.
Yes.
So.
Okay. And again, as Dr. Weston said, it is probably the most minimally disruptive we could be and still show that effort.
I'd be interested in hearing if any of the principals here have any feedback on that.
I personally think it's the best way to get some of that instructional time back without having to take away spring break and without having to dive into other days that are already supposed to be on the calendar, Memorial Day.
How does this affect paying the bus drivers?
I don't think there's going to be an impact there, but I know.
Yeah, I would say that, bus drivers, when they have not worked over the break, they have not been paid.
Right.
So then now their pay will be now absorbed. I mean, they'll get their pay for these extra days.
Right.
There isn't any extra days.
It's not extra day, but they're going to be paid for the time in which they work.
That's right.
They're just gonna start their routes.
Yeah. Yeah.
So they'll just shift their routes later.
Yeah.
Well, they're still going to start at the same time every day.
I'm talking about start their afternoon routes.
Oh, the afternoon. that is
Later,
correct.
yeah, I don't think there's an impact there.
So they're not driving any longer, they're just driving at a different time.
That's right.
We're assuming with this, though, that the preference is to stay later than it is to come earlier. That would be my preference. But, I mean, you don't think that would
Well, we
was that
did
discussion had
talk
some-
about
We did,
that.
we did.
We absolutely, we talked about several scenarios, just so you know, and I apologize. I feel like it's a hot mic this evening. We talked about that, and we even talked about, do we add 5 minutes in the beginning and 10 minutes at the end? And we just kind of came up with, it was easier just to tack it onto the end because secondary already comes so early. We didn't want to have those buses come even earlier for that group of students. And plus the students that drive, we didn't want to tack that 15 minutes on the beginning for them either.
So the one upside to doing it earlier, and I'm not because I'm ready to vote in favor of doing it. I don't want to get up any earlier, but the one upside to doing it in the morning is it wouldn't disrupt spring sports because we already have an issue with getting drivers back for spring sports. But we have more drivers. There was a report, I think at the last meeting, where you shared that we have some teachers and administrators that got CDLs. Will some of them be involved in?
Yeah, very possible. We just heard Mr. Gregory just got his learners.
Right.
Oh, great.
We're working that far way towards that. They've actually, I don't want to steal their thunder, but they've been doing a lot better with getting the routes covered and getting back. We did hire some additional drivers.
Thank you. Well, any other questions or comments? We'll take a motion.
I move that we accept the new release times provided where we have to make up time for where we miss for snow and weather.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the updated calendar and instructional minutes for the remainder of the 25-26 school year. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Thank
The
you.
motion carries. Thank you, Dr. Clay.
Thank you, Dr. Clay. Yes, so we're going to start today with a report from a task force. I want to just give some background to folks sitting here today and I'm going to ask Dr. Clay to come here. I'm going to speak from here. Is that okay? And you'll be, okay. We're going to tag team this.
Yes.
Last fall, we had the opportunity to sit with a couple board members to just talk out loud about like what's keeping you up at night. And we just, want to publicly thank Mr. Brown and Mr. Walker for being very candid with us about the things that keep us up at night relative to students and bullying and things of that nature. And I will tell you, you always think that you got everything covered, but then, people, you bring people to the table and you go, I hadn't thought about that, or
Right.
we hadn't looked into that. And so, just really appreciated, I think you all raised questions for us that we had not explored. And so what we decided to do is to bring a group of people together of unlike minds, really, and say, okay, what is it that we're really doing well? What do we need to do differently? And so tonight, we're going to bring this forward to you. At the end of the day, what we're trying to do is to make sure that we are providing a culture of care, that our schools are safe and supportive for all of our students. And we will not be satisfied until every student can say that. And so we're happy to share that with you this evening. The goal being that we decided to focus on a couple of different areas. One is that we are going to ensure that the educational environments that we have are fostering a positive, inclusive, nurturing climate, free from bullying, free from harassment, and free from discrimination. And that's a tall order. We have, 4,000 students, but we are committed to making certain that every student, whether it's in the data or not in the data, that they feel safe when they come to school every single day. And we wanted to focus on making sure that every school is a place where there's strong, trusting relationships for our young people, where they feel emotionally safe, and their well-being is, we're cultivating, making sure that they're feeling well. So I wanted to show you, here's the members of the task force as it stands currently. As a result of the last board meeting, we've had another parent volunteer. I do believe that as the work continues, we will see more and more, but you can see some of the individuals here, parents, community members. Some people wear dual hats. They're a parent plus they work for us, or so we have several people here that have been a part of this work since last fall. And we really have appreciated that. But this is not, the work's not going to be just finished with this once and done, because you're going to see here that we still have a lot of work to be done. So as with anything, we said, okay, let's take a look at what the data's telling us, because, I'm an optimist by nature. So I was like, we don't have a bullying problem. We don't have a problem with this. But, however, what I've learned is you've got to look at lots of different data sources. And while our incidents, looking at every month, you all get that report. You look at incidents for this whole school division, but you also you can look at the incidents by each of the schools. And you can look on there and it'll say things like, we had 6 incidents so far this school year. Under the definition, how VDOE defines bullying. So that says, well, hey, we're doing really great. However, if you look at the incidents from our, we use the code of conduct with, we've had 166 verbal altercations in which students are feeling intimidated, people are calling them names, kids are uncomfortable. So that's problematic for me, right? And those are things that I think when you talk to students, they would say, I'm being bullied because
that's their perception.
That's my perception.
That's, right.
That's making me feel fearful when I come to school every day, right? That's making me worry about, I can't think about learning because I got to think about what they're saying about me, right? We've also had 186 physical kinds of incidents in which students have either been touched, pushed, shoved, bitten. There was like a whole list of things on there.
The bitings normally are younger students.
I mean, the biting's younger, right?
Yes.
But, somebody's bumping into me every day, somebody, and so if I'm that student, I could see where I don't feel safe when I come to school every day, if that's my experience, right? And then there's 13 that have been written. Usually that's a lot of social media we're seeing. And I will tell you at the secondary level, we do see lots of cyberbullying. There's a lot of cyberbullying that comes into play. Mondays are hard for us because after there's been a long weekend, a lot of that talking back and forth, either on the phone or through social media, can be very troubling for us. So that's just using our code of conduct. And so that's troubling enough, right? So we also participate in the Youth Prevention Needs Assessment, and I gave you a copy of this for you to read. We will not go through it tonight, but I want to draw a couple things to your attention. This Ms. Young Gill, she brings this to us every year. Our kids, middle and high school students, take this assessment
Every
as
5
part
years,
of
once every 5 years.
once every 5 years. Thank you.
Yes.
And actually, it's for the entire central region. So you'll see there are other school districts in here, but it's only our data that she's reported in here for us. She does give us some for comparable reasons. You can see some of the data of the other school systems, but you can see Dinwiddie County in here in areas of concerns for Dinwiddie County. There's also really kind of exciting things in here too. That one of the things that I noticed in here, in the year 2000, our graduation rate was 70% in Dinwiddie County. In the year 2010, our graduation rate was 80%. In 2024, it's 91.3%. So there are some things that are happening that are really great in Dinwiddie County. However, when you read this, the perception of high school students that say bullying is happening in my school at the high school level is 29.5%. Now, they don't necessarily say it's them being bullied, but they say 29.5% of the students say it's happening at the high school. 53.8% of the middle school students say it's happening at the middle school. Now, it might not be happening to them, but they say that it is, they think it's happening. Even more worrisome for me is the mental health challenges of our students, feeling of hopelessness. 34.5% of our high school students say at some point as a high schooler, they have felt helpless or hopeless. That's a lot of young people, right? And they don't go into a lot as to the reasoning behind it. They don't dig even further about that. But they do talk about, we all know what can happen when somebody gets to a state of hopelessness. And so that is work for us there, right? So what are we doing about that? And at Dinwiddie Middle School, 21.7% of our young people said they feel a sense of hopelessness. That makes me so sad, that our young people either don't have somebody to go to, don't have the support structure, don't have the resources they need, they just feel hopeless. And I can't imagine trying to come to school every day if that's where your headspace is, right? So that further told me that we have work to do here. In addition to this survey, and I do challenge you to take a chance to read, because when I read that, Angel sent it to us over when we were out for snow, and I just said, when we emailed back and forth, I just said, there's so many, this hurts my heart, and there's just there's so much opportunity in here for us, but we got to get.
Because it also talks about risky behaviors.
Risky
in general.
behaviors
There are
for our young people.
I'm just going to tell you, there's some tough questions on that survey because we had to go through. Carly was a part of that team. Every question, and so some of it's about risk behaviors. So we do have work, and there are a lot of concerns there.
Yeah,
for sure.
It was interesting to me that on the lower end, we think there's drug problem in the community. Based on this, there really is not, but they do talk about alcohol.
Yes.
Right? What I want people to understand is schools are open systems, and so whatever happens on the outside finds its way inside.
That's right.
Right? So what you're going to hear in a minute is we need help to do this work because we can only do part of this work. Right? We need community, we need families to join us in this effort because I don't go home with young people and keep them off social media, and I need help in that regard. So,
and may I just add,
yes,
we always say schools are a reflection of our community.
Absolutely.
So I just want to reiterate that, this has to be a partnership with the community, which is where an Angel Young Gill comes in, and our families, and we'll talk more about that. But it truly has to be a partnership.
Right.
Well, one of the bills that's been proposed for this round of legislation is a bill that's mandating screening for 6 through 12, I think, mental health screening. But there's absolutely no money suggested.
Well, you're going to hear that our team is already working on that work.
Yeah.
So for us here, Dr. Garnes, is he still now? So he's gone. I'm calling it into existence.
You're calling it into existence.
But we're working on that here. But you're right. Yes. there's a lot of bills out there that
Yes.
there's no money attached to
money
it,
attached
that
to
we're
it.
gonna talk about at the budget.
Yeah.
Can you explain the purpose or the plan of the task force? Like, what will they be doing? And then, are we open to adding more parents and
Yes.
students to that task force?
Absolutely, absolutely. We have a student advisory at the high school. Yeah, we certainly are open to adding any more students or parents that would like to be a part of
I
that.
think, and I believe Mr. Brown feels the same way I do. I think we need more students, especially involved in this.
Absolutely.
And parents.
Especially, especially as we work through the parts that I was just speaking to, we do need student voice. And you're gonna hear, Dr. Clay's gonna talk, we're gonna get to the student voice part of that and why that's so critical. And I'm sure Jay can also speak to that. But yes, we would welcome that. This is a team that is gonna continue to work. Their charge will be to make certain that it's being implemented. Of course, it's gonna have to be on the ground through principals, through the schools, but they will be the kind of conduit in which this all goes through.
Right.
Like, how are we doing? What's the data saying? Are we seeing a difference in the surveys? Are kids telling us that's different, you know, and having people report back? Because you see, I mean, we have somebody, I think, we have somebody from every school on the team, and they all have different job functions. But that's the purpose. But we would welcome any more
Absolutely.
students that we can have. Absolutely.
Mr. Brown.
Yeah, of course.
No, I was just gonna add on top of that. I think, well, I don't think I know. When we had initially discussed this idea, and everyone had an open mind of, okay, you know, what is it that we can do? What is it we should do? And for me, I know what was really driving my philosophy behind this is that it's the people who are impacted by an issue that are most set up to tackle that issue and bring it on down. That being said, you know, I really wanted to see something that would be student-led. It's running off of the decisions that are made by students, it's guided by the students, because I'm a product of you sit down and you tell the kids, do this, don't do this, and it's up to them if they're gonna follow that or not. And it goes in one ear and out the other, and I'll say that as a student who was bullied. I mean, there were a few times I picked on some other kids, believe it or not, but whatever advice or things were told to us, it was like, okay, this is a dumb coloring book. What does dare even mean? Why do you have this dog here? You know, all this stuff. It was inefficient. But when you have the students actually leading it and being able to say, this is how it's impacting us, let me tell you what I need done to help me. I believe that's where we'll actually start to see something very innovative and very different than what other school districts are doing and what we're currently doing. So that is my biggest concern, is that, you know, I don't want it to be something that students are added onto. I want it to be the students are leading this, and they're capable of doing that. And I think that what qualifies them and what makes them capable of doing this is that they are the ones that are impacted by it. Because I mean, I'm 25, so I'm like 8 years removed from the school system. You know, I can't even go back to these kids and tell them, hey, this is what we shouldn't do and this is what we should do, right? Because even in those 8 years, so much has changed to where, you know, my opinions are irrelevant. But whose opinions are relevant are the students that are being impacted by it and the students that are seeing it. And based off of those numbers up there's a lot of students, 1 in every 2 at the middle school and 1 in every 3 at the high school that can tell you, hey, I've seen bullying or I've been bullied. So let me tell you how we can resolve that issue. I know I'm sounding like a broken record, but I really just want to drive home that something that is student-led, like this, the students are doing this themselves, I think will really set us apart from anything that's ever been tried before.
I think it's important to also remember that we got to work on the perception of, sometimes there is the perception that we're doing this right or we're doing this wrong, and there's not provable evidence, but the perception is important.
Yes,
If
it
they
is.
think that that's what's going on, then we have to deal with that.
That's right.
But in a lot of cases, I know with the needs assessment from having been a principal, when we give those needs assessments and you talk to the kids, it's anonymous.
Yes.
And
Yeah, the surveys are all anonymous.
yes, and so you have to deal with the fact that it's, you know, you're asking a, you know, 14-year-old boy these
Right.
really intimate questions.
Yes.
Is it really all what's happening, or is it the perception of
Right.
what's happening?
I think that's a great point that we have talked about a lot. Is yes, there is a Department of Education definition of bullying that we go by when you look at those bullying incidents. But
perception is important too.
it
I'm not
is, but
minimizing
any
that.
type of unkind behavior, I think that's where we stand. Anything that's not kind is not okay.
Right.
So even if it doesn't meet the definition, it doesn't mean it's acceptable behavior. So that's what we're working towards is how do we help our students understand that kindness piece and the do's and don'ts. And to your point, I mean, students being involved in that work is important. So that's definitely something we can add to this.
Well, that's what I'm saying is that I think the being involved part, I would say that's the bare minimum. It has to be student led.
And that's what I meant. I apologize for my wording, but that's what I meant, Mr. Brown, is, you know, we do have a few students on this task force, but, you know, absolutely making it look a little different and more student-led is something we can do. And as you were saying that, I even wrote down, what does the student-led part look like outside of this task force? Because it has to trickle down to the schools. And I do believe most of our schools have like a student advisory or things like that that can also be involved in this. And what does this work look like in action in every school as well?
So when we get to pillar 3, it's about student voice and engagement. And the
Right.
definition of that is allowing students to share their expertise and take on leadership roles so they become agents of change rather than just compliant learners. And I think that's what you're trying
Yes.
to say is that you want them to lead it, lead the change here in the school district and be the leader of it versus us making those decisions for them.
Well, yes, yeah, but I mean, there are like questions that, I mean, we haven't even gotten through the presentation.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know what's going to come up, but
Okay.
there are questions that we're answering that I believe are better posed to the students and allowing the students to answer those questions for us. So you asked the question of, you know, how do we implement this in the schools? We'll talk to the students and ask them how we can implement this in the schools. I'm not saying you, but just, you know, that's
Right.
how I would respond to that because, I mean, the students have to be the ones to tell us how we should resolve this issue that is impacting them. You know, there could be 100 bullies in Dinwiddie Middle School for, you know, all that we know, and none of us are going to be bullied by those students. I mean, some kids may, like, you know, laugh at us or, you know, say whatever, but I mean, that's just kids being kids. But, you know, because we're not the ones that are being impacted by it, I think that whatever ideas we can come up with are never really going to match up to what the students would be able to come up with to, again, address this issue that's impacting them. And I think that that just goes across the board for any change, positive change we try to roll out for people, right? Like if we want to say we want to do better for our students with disabilities, I wouldn't say let's put together a task force of individuals who aren't disabled or, you know, who are removed from that situation and let's make these decisions, right? You would want the students who have those disabilities to be able to tell us what they need for things to be better for them, right? Same thing goes for Black students. I mean, what is it? Rates up there, 21.7%. And, you know, I know we have a GSA or whatever at the high school and physical appearance. I mean, like you have to bring in the people that are being impacted by it. So I apologize for sounding like a broken record, and I don't want to drag this on, but I don't want us to miss such a ripe opportunity to resolve an issue that I had, like, everyone was telling me about it before I became a school board member. That, like, I didn't even want to talk about bullying, but then when I found out that everyone's bringing this issue up to me, okay, this has to be made an issue, or not made an issue, it has to be made a conversation, and something that we do need to tackle. And I just don't want us to miss the opportunity of doing it right, doing it in a way that other school systems are able to look at Dinwiddie and say, hey, they resolved an issue that we couldn't get under control. And if they got it under control by doing something that none of us ever thought of. None of us ever thought to give the power to the students and let the students tell us what needs to be done, you know? And I'm not saying let the students go crazy and, you know, anarchy all over the place.
So and Mr. Brown, you and I talked about this last year when you and I met. And because I hear what you're saying, and I think it sounds great. What I'm struggling to connect the dots though, like on how do we get there. I guess the best example I can use in my home, like I want to empower my own kids because one day they're going to leave my home and they're going to lead their own lives. But there's lines I have to draw where I can't let them decide what we eat every day, because if they did, we'd be eating Little Debbie snacks, and you know what I'm saying? So I want to empower them, but I also have to give guidance to them. And so that's what I'm struggling with. I hear what you're saying and I love the idea, but in my mind, I'm struggling to connect those dots. How do we get to that place and still have structure and order that allows us to serve the purpose that we're in the building to serve? So I'm not telling you I disagree with you. What I'm telling you is I would love to hear more conversation about how do we connect those dots? How do we give them that without, for example, I just come home and say, okay, I'm going to do what you got. Because if I did what my son said, I wouldn't go to work. We would be going to the go-karts one day a week, and we'd be going to the batting cage 3 days a week. And so I that's where I'm struggling. And so it's not that I disagree with you. It's just that I still haven't been able in my own mind to connect those dots. And I think there's a lot of people that are in that same place. We want that, but we don't know what it looks like in real time.
Sure, and I mean, you definitely want to be reasonable. I guess
Yeah.
an analogy I would give is, I mean, I'm no parent, so I don't
Right.
really know how this would work. But if I were to have kids and they were complaining and not cleaning up the house or cleaning up,
Right.
Whatever their messes were and all of that, I found that was difficult to take care of. Okay, let me sit them down. Why is this so difficult for you to
Yeah.
want to clean up? Right? Is there do you feel as if there's no point to it? Do you not see why you should clean up after yourself? Just having that conversation. Okay, I hear what you're saying. This is what needs to be done. Let's maybe figure out a system that works for all of us so the house stays clean and you know how to clean up after yourself, right? I think that's reasonable. Again, I'm not a parent, so if you think
And I don't disagree with you. I just think it's something that, I say this all the time to people that I work with. We live in a world that wants simple answers to complicated questions. And 99% of the time, it just doesn't work out that way. And so I think this is one of those really complicated questions that we're not going to find a simple answer to, but that is not an excuse
Not to try.
to just turn the page and ignore the question. I think we have to answer the question, and I like the direction that we're going. I feel your frustration, and I'm frustrated in the sense that I was hoping I saw a lot of titles up there when I saw the task force. Now, you guys are mentioning there are several students. I only saw one student up there, but maybe there are others that just weren't named for privacy or what, I don't know, they're minors, whatever. But, I wanted to see more students, but you're approaching it a little bit different. You wanted students to take the lead. So I'm on the same wavelength maybe, but you know what I'm saying? So I think we're moving in the right direction, and I'm encouraged by that.
Could I interject into this
Sure.
conversation? I read ahead in the plan that he's presenting. And if you go to page 5 of your handout, there's a slide on student voice and engagement. And it talks about the fact that we want within this program to create strong student leadership. Now, in order for any organization to function, the leadership has to be strong. So you can't just appoint anybody or allow any student to suddenly lead a group. They need to know what they're doing. And if you look at the strategy here, they're going to develop that. Once they develop that within the students, then you will have more student involvement, more student engagement, because they're ready to take on those roles. If you put them into those roles too soon and they fail, they might never step into one of those roles again. And we don't want them to leave our school system thinking that they're failures at leading a group, because there's so many opportunities out there to be a leader.
Well,
I think this one helps.
You get input, and Jason's suggestion of getting information from the kids that have been bullied is very valid.
Well, just kids in general, they don't have to be the ones that are bullied. I mean, because like I said, 1 in 3 and 1 in 2 for the middle school and high school
these are
saying
kids that
they
feel
see
it's
it.
happening.
Yeah, they're saying it happening. With Dr. Weston's point earlier in the evening was, and Mr. Walker's point is, it's a very complicated issue. So the solutions are not just in the students. We have parents input, community input, teacher input, student input, and each one of those is a different facet of this problem. there are kids whose parents are very loud about bullying, and then there are other people who are not. I mean, it's such a complicated problem that it's multi-layered, and there is no simple solution. But having different programs and different grades, having layers of programs, having a consistent approach that what happens at this grade, what happens at this grade, this is where we have them participate in role playing, this is where we have them working in groups with guidance if they've been bullied, or how to comport themselves when they have been bullied. All of those are just little pieces, and we do have a lot of stuff in place. And different schools have different pieces in place, and you know, what works with some kids doesn't work with other kids. So I mean, it's multifaceted and very complicated, and so we have to have layers of how we approach this problem.
And to that end, I think what I would like to see, and I hope this is kind of moving in the direction of what Mr. Brown is requesting, is I don't think we have clear terms and objectives. So like the goal, we're all saying we want, you know, our goal is no bullying in our schools. That's a moving target, and it's not a real clear target. And I try to, because I'm not a real super intelligent guy, I don't think. I live by the KISS method, or the KISS philosophy, keep it simple, stupid. So like the simpler we can make the terms, like can we like set a goal not to use a single VDOE acronym or word, let's just use words that kids are using. Simplify the terms and clearly state the objectives. Like I think Mr. Brown and I talked about having one of the clear objectives is to have a place or a person that every student can go to anytime they feel threatened or bullied or something like that. You know, that's, I think that's the beginning. I don't know that that's the end.
So I would just, so maybe if we get through the whole presentation.
Yeah,
Because
that's
I
fair.
think you're gonna hear some of that.
Yeah.
And then at the end, we could you might have some of your questions answered, and then, but I think that what's happened is the data for me, I think it's doing the same thing that it did for us when we first saw it. So if we could just get through this part of it, and then I think we can circle back and say, okay, now what do you want us to do?
And I also just want to say, this is a beginning point.
Yes.
So this is a beginning point, a committee. You know, anyone that's been on a committee or done any work, it doesn't have to be in education, knows you can't have 100 people on a committee.
No.
Right. So this is a beginning point, and I think the thought process of this is we weren't just looking at bullying. We're looking at safety and culture and security from a broad standpoint, right? And then the goal would be, absolutely, I think we need to come up with some clear objectives and all those pieces. And then maybe it has to trickle down to the school level. And maybe that's where the student-led part comes in. Okay, we have these objectives. Now, with that student group, let's work on what does this look like in action in our building. Because I think that's where those other groups are going to come into play with the student-led piece of it. So this is kind of a broad beginning step.
Well, at the beginning of this particular committee, we looked at buildings, we looked
That's
at
right.
entryways, we looked at
everything,
our
Everything.
training, we looked at lots of things, and now it's coming down to the more softer levels that you know that
That's right.
that matter to each person. So we started off with the big parameters of, you know, what schools, you know, didn't have a structure at the front door that stops people from walking straight by the office. It's just things that simple as to getting everything physically ready to be safe. That was at the beginning of that task force.
I did, go ahead. Yeah. So I did tease out data from our students and our staff participate in a survey from the Department of Criminal Justice. This survey is called the Virginia School Survey of Climate and Working Conditions. A couple of things I teased out from there. It's a much bigger report, but one of the things that the students said was 83.3% of them felt like that they had a positive relationship with one or more staff members, so they had a place to go to. Now, I am worried about the 17% of them that do not have that, but that was very encouraging for me that they felt like they have a go-to person, which is very important. However, 37.6% of them did feel like there was bullying happening in the schools. And when they asked, the next question was, why do you think the bullying has taken place? 63.5% of them said about physical appearance. They feel like kids get bullied because of their physical appearance. 24.3% of them said because of a student's sexual orientation. 21.7 said because of a student's race, and the next one was about the money, whether or not kids live in poverty or not. That was the next one after that. So that was what they thought, like why bullying was happening in the school system. And then, you know, with everything, we're also dealing with qualitative data, you know, that tells us that there is a perception, right? Because social media can perpetuate the stories sometimes that may or may not be true. Right? Oh, this school has a bullying problem. You don't want to go into that school. Well, they've never stepped foot in the school, but they want to sell the story as if I've stepped foot in that school and I know exactly what's happening over there. So sometimes social media can or cannot, it may or may not be true. I would welcome people, I'd say come into the schools, walk the schools, sit down with the teachers, sit down with the student, you know, talk to the principal. Also the grapevine, you know, I always say that this is the largest, smallest community I've ever lived in, you know, that because sometimes it's like, you know, let me tell you what I heard about this person or so-and-so told me about this. So it's not necessarily a firsthand experience, but I'm going to just tell you what I heard somebody say about this particular school. And then finally, we do have people like yourself who have lived experiences, and lived experiences, we all bring our lived experiences to work every day and we bring them to school every day. And so if I'm a parent that I had that lived experience of being bullied when I was a Dinwiddie County Public School student, that's my first that possibly could be my first go-to. The minute something happens with my student, there's a bullying problem because I was bullied. So lived experiences are big because we all see the world through our lived experiences, right? And we have to be mindful of that. Absolutely. Because people's perception is their reality. Yes. So that can be for students, that can also be for grown people as well. So this is the data we're using currently. Doesn't mean that's the only data. I think there's a lot more to be had. I love the idea of sitting down with students and can you talk out loud to me? Tell me the stories. You know, let's hear more from kids. So basically what you're going to hear tonight is just we're going to talk to you about some strategies that we have in place or we plan to employ to make sure that our schools are safe and supportive. And we're using these 6 pillars. We identified 6 pillars for success: physical safety, social emotional safety, student voice and engagement, family, community, and community partnerships, staff support and training, and finally monitoring and accountability. So I'm going to, and then what we did was with each of these areas, we said, okay, what are we doing really well? What are our strengths already as a school division? Where are glows? But really more importantly, where are some opportunities for growth? Right. And so Dr. Clay is going to walk us through these 6 pillars and talk to you about what we identified as strengths, and then more importantly, what are our opportunities for growth?
Sure, and just, you know, the pillars, again, we were looking at overall safety and security to see what kind of came from that discussion. So pillar 1 is physical safety, and so as a team, looking at data and hearing voice on that team, the strengths that we came up with were staff presence and supervision, SROs in every building, SSOs at the secondary level, safety and security plan. You've heard Mr. Walters present on that a lot, and just the work and the improvement that's going into that. Cameras in schools and on buses, and then just the code of conduct. You know, we've done work on that over the years. Mr. Garnes is getting ready to lead a code of conduct committee to look at that again, to see where are the places we can strengthen that. The opportunities the team found were radio communication in schools, just better training, and what does that look like? Entry protocols and procedures across schools, just to make sure we're consistent. Some things we need to be consistent in. And panic buttons for staff was a part of the discussion as well. There are, I guess, are these really cool badges that they have now where staff can have panic buttons. So that was part of the discussion for that pillar. So with pillar 2, social and emotional safety, this is an environment where students feel secure enough to express their unique identities, take academic risk, and navigate social situations without fear of judgment, ridicule, or punishment. So the strengths, you can see here, the opportunities are bigger than the strength column, right? The strengths were advisory period at Dinwiddie Middle School. This flows from one of the proactive measures we'll talk about later, responsive classroom. Morning meetings at the elementary level, again, part of the responsive classroom initiative that we're part of. Counselors available to students. I think that goes back to that positive relationship piece we saw in the data. The majority of our students feel like they have a person. We've got to work on those people that feel like they don't have a person yet. And then we have amazing social workers that are stretched thin sometimes, but love our students and families and work really hard in that area. The opportunities here, more lessons on empathy, right, and things of that nature, promoting diversity and inclusion. We do that, but I think we can do a better job of that. Additional social workers are needed, trauma-informed care training for staff. So when we talk about trauma can be a lot of things, right? Things that happen outside of us, but it could be things that are happening in the building. It could be that student that's giving me a hard time. Like, how does staff know how to deal with that and what supports to give students? Mr. Garnes and the team of counselors are right now working on this social emotional learning screener, looking at what other divisions have in place. This would not be anonymous, because to support students, sometimes it can't be anonymous, but kind of as a proactive measure, which students need support. So they're working on that now. And then resources for students who feel bullied, but I wish we would have put here too, resources for the student that is the alleged bullier. And we didn't put that here. We probably need to add that there, but just resources on both ends. Because one, how do we support the student that feels like they're being bullied? And how do we support that student that's being unkind to do something different? So that came from this as well. Pillar 3, student voice and engagement. So allowing students to share their expertise and take on leadership roles so they become agents of change rather than just compliant learners. And I think, Mr. Brown, this was to your point earlier. So the strengths here, ways that we currently have student voice and engagement. Student advisory group at the high school. I just want to say, that there was a group of students at the high school that redid our dress code. Like, that was 100% student led, right? So we've done something like that before, and this is an area where we probably need to do that as well. Student board representatives, workforce development, teen expo, clubs, activities, sports. Midway and Dinwiddie Elementary have a house system that has a lot of student engagement and gets students excited about school, but also is kind of that proactive piece where they're earning points, based on things that are positive, right? So we're pushing kindness and things of that nature. I believe every school has an SCA, student ambassadors at Midway, and student workers at the high school. So opportunities the team found were student ambassadors should probably be at every school. More leadership opportunities for students, and that can be certainly in things like, how do we work on the bullying, the perception of bullying, kindness. So that's an opportunity there. More authentic recognition of students, and then more use of surveys and suggestion boxes, getting student voice there as well. Pillar 4 is the family and community partnership pillar. So collaborative, reciprocal relationships between schools, families, and local organizations that share a commitment to student success. So our strengths, pastoral roundtable, we have a lot of community partnerships, I would say. Our resource guide that our social workers put out for our families, and this is a variety of resources from food to counseling to clothing needs and things of that nature. Community partnerships and sponsors, I believe Ms. Robinson-Williams has a whole list of those partnerships. Our community advisory that we have, and we meet every couple of months, I believe. Various other advisory boards from SEAC. I mean, there's a ton of them, Title I, so we just didn't list them all here. I was trying to conserve space on this slide. Dolly Parton Library is a great initiative that we started this school year, I believe. Prevention Services, which is our partnership with the county. Early Learning Fair, booster clubs and PTOs, work-based learning. Opportunities, look at Miss Valentine, that FACE position, we're trying to get that back. Family and community engagement, we have the position, we just have not been able to hire someone to help with that family engagement piece at elementary. More secondary family participation. It is, as we know, it kind of dwindles off in secondary, so how do we increase that? More virtual opportunities for family and community engagement, family town hall meetings, so that families can bring their voice to us and talk about issues that are on their mind. Family workshops, and then tutoring was there as well. Pillar 5, staff support and training. So this is a commitment to providing our educators with the skills they need, right, and the resources. So strengths, annual staff conference, DCPS, professional learning plan that includes conference opportunities and professional development days. We have a transportation advisory, a superintendent advisory. Every school is represented on that advisory. And then our principals have advisories. Opportunities here, training plan for our employee groups, just making sure every group is represented. Maintenance, nutrition. Training for new administrators, we could definitely strengthen that. Staff mental health support, training on building relationships with students. I think that sometimes that doesn't come naturally to everyone. So what does that look like and what's appropriate there? And then recognition of best practices. And then the last pillar, pillar 6, is monitoring and accountability. So the ongoing process of gathering information, basically, is what we're doing working or not? And then we have to always come back to the table. I like to call that the Apple approach. With everything we do, education, academics, everything, we can never be complacent in what we're doing to say it's good enough, right? So Apple, as you know, keeps coming back to the table. There's no Apple product that's ever good enough. Whether they're making billions, they come back to the table to say, now what? And I think we have to get that way as educators in every area. Now what? How do we make it better? To me and to us, that's what this pillar is about. So our strengths here, we note things in Infinite Campus. That's a monitoring piece, right? We have bus cameras with audio. Again, cameras in schools. We have Deladeo, which helps us monitor student activity on Google, like when they're doing email and things like that. Relationships with students and staff. And this is new, and I'm going to talk about this a little more on the next slide. Anonymous reporting form that came from this task force, and we've created that. It goes live tomorrow. Yes. Opportunities, we need to continue to update cameras and technology. Mr. Walters talks about this a lot, and more training on Deladeo. All right, so part of what came from this with our data is certainly bullying. That's definitely something on the mind of this task force. So I do just want to share with you, and I think Ms. Rainey is going to click on that website. Over the summer, we did revise our bullying prevention website because when I looked at it, I'm like, ooh, this might be from the 80s. So with collaboration from other groups, we looked at what we had on the website. So if you'll scroll down just a little bit, Ms. Rainey. So we talk about our commitment, kind of the same thing this task force is committed to: safe, healthy, supportive learning environments that are free from bullying. That's our commitment. We do have work to do there. So we kind of state what we believe in and the impacts of bullying and what we're trying to do, creating that climate where bullying is not tolerated. If you'll keep scrolling. And do you mind, Ms. Rainey, clicking on the pledge? So one thing we started in October that is a year-long initiative, and we'll go into next year, is the Dinwiddie County Public Schools Pledge. So where there are 3 things that we talk about with staff and students. I choose kindness, I choose respect, I choose to carry the banner for others. So, this is something teachers were explicitly teaching in their classrooms. Our principals and students were getting on morning announcements and talking about what this looked like in action. And then there were examples given of, well, what does it mean to be kind? What does it mean to be respectful? What does it mean to carry the banner for others? So all of our schools continue this initiative, one, to have students involved in it and teachers, but just to explicitly teach and expect that. The next thing on the website, we give that definition, right, of bullying. And But then we also say behavior that does not meet that definition may still warrant intervention and consequences, because any type of unkind behavior is not okay with us. The next piece that you'll see that was added was prevention. So we do have things in place, and we welcome feedback on what other things need to be in place. So the things that we currently have in place in K-5 as a preventive or proactive approach are classroom guidance lessons, social emotional learning activities through responsive classroom. All of our schools had an initial training, but now we're doing kind of a deep dive training. So Southside recently had the deep dive training. Sutherland will be in June. The middle school has had that, just to extensively train our staff in that. Botvan life skills training, this normally happens in our PE and health classes. It does include lessons about kindness, bullying, conflict resolution, things of that nature. And then every school has PBIS, or positive behavior and intervention systems, where we're teaching those kindness and respect skills. Grade 6 through 8 has a lot of the same things there. And so then the high school has the Botvan piece as well, just again as proactive approaches. There may be some other ones, some other things that we're doing, but again, we welcome that input into what else can we do. Then how to report bullying. Again, there's a new form that will go live tomorrow. That is an anonymous report form. We use what some other localities had out there to create that. So students, families can click on that. That information goes right to the school administration so they can investigate that. Now, there is a caveat on that form that says if you don't provide your name, it makes it very hard to investigate this, right? If we don't have information, it's very hard to investigate. So there's a caveat there, but they have the option of adding their name, witnesses' names, things of that nature. Administrators do have to investigate that within 24 hours, and they do that. Thorough investigations and contact parents. And then the last part of this is just how can parents help? So there's a lot of kind of pieces and tips here, because we do need their support at home, family support. And then at the end of this is just some resources for families on bullying as well. So I just would say, we know we always have room for improvement. When you think about that data, we look at numbers, but every number has a name.
Yeah.
Every name has a story, and we believe every story matters. So that student voice is important. The parent and family voice is important. And again, we can't emphasize enough, this has to be a partnership. We can sit at a table and think we're the smartest people in the room, as Dr. Weston always says, but we have to have a lot of smart people at the table, whatever the issue is, to figure out that issue together and work to solve the problem.
I just would like to speak to, about students. I will tell you that a couple of things. One is that before students are ever going to respond to any of us face-to-face, that relationship piece has got to be intact.
Yeah.
We have got to, as grown people, we've got to work with grown people to make sure that we build the kind of trusting relationships with kids so they want to talk to us about the things that are on their minds and in their hearts, because they are not going to be readily giving of that information without it. In case in point, I will tell you, when I have the opportunity, I'm at the middle school, I will tell you it's like a 360 over there, because what Dr. Walker did when she first went there said, we're going to focus on relationships with kids in this building. And she said, that's what we're going to focus on. And you worked with the grown people and said, this is how you're going to do it, right? You got to get to know kids, and you got to start listening to them, start building relationships with them, be with them at the door, greet them, how's your weekend go, talk to them about, so I do believe that there's some grown people things we got to get in check before we can get to the student things. Some of this training has to be in place too, because we do have to understand kids developmentally and the like. And so I do think that's important. We've been doing a lot of talk about emotional intelligence and regulation of kids and emotions, and that's for grown people and for kids. there aren't a lot of kids that have parents who can help to teach them how you regulate emotions. You typically learn that when you're little, right, from your parents. And, you know, when you, I always say with my grandchildren, you know, they have big emotions. They're 5 and they have big emotions, but part of their parents' job is to figure out what do you do with that big emotion, right? But not everybody has that same experience. So when they come to us, they come with big emotions. So part of our job is to kind of help them figure that, to navigate those big emotions when they have them, knowing that everybody's coming to us with the best they can come to us with. And so sometimes, because nobody ever taught me about how to do that, as a parent, I'm trying to figure it out, right? So I think it is a very complex, this whole thing is very complex. What I'm saying to you all, we're willing to do whatever it takes. We will bring anybody to the table who wants to come to the table. I do believe kids lead this, because for anything to be lasting, students have to be the ones kind of leading the way, or they won't. You can't just go and say, this is what we're going to do. This is your plan now. So I hear you. That's got to be in place. But there are some things I think we can do on our end first and foremost to build the kind of relationships to make those things happen. And the conditions, we can make sure that we have the schools where those conditions will make that even much more successful. That's why that when we did the
dress code.
The dress code. When we asked the kids to come help us with that, there wasn't an empty seat in the cafeteria. We said, stay after school if you want to be a part of, you want your voice to be a part of that. And it was our 2 school board rep. They invited the kids to, we had them invite the kids to come. So they sent out the email, the blast. And there was not an empty seat in there. They did all the talking. And now, of course, we met with them on the side because we said, okay, here are the structures, here are the parameters. I mean, we can't go crazy here, people. But here's what is good. And they did a great job, right?
They did.
So that's what I think I'm hearing you say, that we can be the guides on the side, but at the end of the day, we want the kids to be leading this charge. And that's what we want too. I think this can be a win-win for everybody. We just know that this was our first iteration of trying to figure out what do we have currently and what do we need to do immediately next.
That's right.
And there are some immediate next steps in me, because I do feel like we might have some kids in crisis immediately that we've got to get to.
Yeah, and I wrote down, but I forgot to say, like our telehealth grant. Like, so there are certain things with the mental health piece that Mr. Garnes and his team and social workers and counselors are working on.
Yeah.
So is that up and running, the telehealth?
We're almost there. We're so close. I can feel it.
Oh, yes.
We're trying to get a facilitator right now, but yes,
people
very
that have
close.
applied to be
And I think principals have identified students, so we're very close, Ms. Pittman.
So what I wrote down was, we want more student-led. We want to see more of this being student-led, student-initiated, student change. Simplify. I'm about a simple person too. I can only do 6 slides, 3 points. That's about it. So simplify. I also wrote down restorative practices. We're doing that. Emotional intelligence. And I think you've got some notes on yours as well. But we'll bring the team back together. Is there anything else that you all want to make sure we bring back to this team as feedback? I know I met with the parent from the last, she's going to be a part of this, but we want more students. So how do we get more students involved? And maybe it's the time of day. Maybe that's something Jake can kind of help us to think about. When's a good time? Maybe you could go out during the advisory period at the middle school. That's a great time to meet with those students, because it's during the day.
Yeah.
So if they want to be a part of that, but we'll work on that piece. Other things that you would like to see immediately?
The bully, the website.
The website?
Yes.
So that you have a link on there to report.
It will be live tomorrow. Right now, it's a report form that we've used, but we have created a Google form for every school.
I know Mr. Walters told us that Mr. Ampey told us that we're getting a new website. When does that go live? Because I'll be honest with you, if you put that link on our current website, it's like putting the recycling bin in the back of a dark closet. Nobody's recycling.
That's a great point. So Ms. Robinson Williams, when we make that live, is also making the social media post, putting a blast out to parents, because it'll be live in a couple of places. I believe she's making it so that when you go to every school's website, it's at the bottom of that homepage.
All right.
Good point, though. It is
I
hard to
don't
find
think
things
kids go to our
sometimes.
school website, and they don't go to Facebook.
No, they don't go to Facebook.
They go to TikTok. Where else?
We don't-
Snapchat.
What do
How do we-
kids do? Jake, what do kids?
Where do we
what
need
do
to put
kids?
it?
Where do kids get their news? Oh, Instagram. We have an Instagram.
We have Instagram too, so we can put it there. You know, it can also be something in collaboration with our leaders where maybe counselors talk to students about where they can find that. And I do want to say, our first way we want people to report is to tell an adult.
Yes.
Right.
Because I just
Anonymous
can't,
is
we
gonna be
can't stress that
hard.
enough because, you know, that's the best way is, hey, parent, call the principal, student, tell, you know, that your trusted adult. That's the way we want it to happen. But this is just another avenue if for some reason they're not comfortable or they don't have that trusted adult. But great point. So I think we can work with our leaders to say, how can we make sure students know where this is?
Do you read your email, the class of 2026? Do you read that email? Because they usually will read their class of email because that's when they get a lot of fun announcements in there. So they do at the high school. They read those emails. So each group is attached to a class of, and parents get those emails too.
Yes.
If we could, and I know we talked about this with the bus looking for drivers.
Oh,
If we could get a wall graphic with a QR code and put it on every wall in the high school and middle school,
oh, with a QR
and the kid
code.
can illegally pull their cell phone out.
Oh my gracious.
But just to make it easier to get to that and more,
Yeah.
well, they can't use their cell phone.
We still have those drop boxes. We still have the middle school and the high school drop boxes because when we did the dress code, they made
Yeah.
that
Yeah, they had a drop box.
anonymous.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that you could drop mail in there. We still have those too. So QR code. Anything else you want us to think about or work on when we go back to this team? Speak now or speak later. You can tell us
Speak
later
later.
too.
You
It's
can
up to
definitely
but
talk
thank
to us
you.
later.
No, we all appreciate. We all want the same thing at the end of the day.
Yes.
You know, and it's just how we get get to that end.
That's right.
Yeah.
But we will not be satisfied till every student feels safe, and grown person does too.
That's right.
This is for grown people too. Yeah.
Thank you, Doctor.
Thank
Appreciate it.
you.
Budget.
Nope. Oh, I forgot we still have one more. Talk about complexity. Now we talk about the budget. Just going to get you an update.
Yes, good evening. Yes, we're in the throes of budget development.
Is your mic on just
oh.
because so the people at home can hear you?
Yeah, I think it is.
Okay.
We are in the throes of budget development, deep into that, and we did have some weather issues as far as our budget work session that we had scheduled at the end of last month. But what I want to do tonight is just kind of give you a brief update of where we are and what the next steps are. So regarding the current year, the year that we're in, our enrollment is still approximately 100 students below our budgeted ADM of 3975. But the good news is we are holding steady there. So we are going to continue to monitor that as the year progresses. As far as General Assembly changes or the governor's budget changes to the current year, the governor's budget did include a 2% bonus in that in his introduced budget to be paid in June of 2026. However, we are hearing that Governor Spanberger may be modifying this to be providing a flat rate of $1,500 as opposed to the 2%, which most finance people would be in favor of because it's a lot easier to have the same amount for everyone. However, the state will pay their share for this, and then we would have to pay the local funding of that. But we hope to hear more about that coming soon. As far as the FY 2027 budget, Dr. Weston will be presenting her proposed school operating budget 2 weeks from tonight, February 24th at 5:30. And this will be the first draft of the FY 27 operating budget. At this point, all stakeholders have presented their department budgets, and we are working collaboratively to try and produce a balanced budget. We're not there yet because there's still work to do, but highlights of where we are at this point and what we are proposing are we are proposing to use an average daily membership count of 3,850 students, which is a reduction of 125 students from where we're at now. It's a little bit more conservative than where we're sitting, so we can talk about that, but I'd rather be conservative than having to find revenue later. It does include the adjusted VRS rates that I talked about at our last presentation that the governor's budget introduced and the VRS board has certified. It includes the return of remediation to the operating budget. As you know, this has been funded by other sources since 2020. Either COVID was paying for remediation, or acceleration is what we like to call it now, or the all-in funding that was in the biennial budget 3 years ago. So that is all going away, so we're having to bring that back locally. Increased utility costs. We know we are having to increase those. I think if you've been watching Facebook, people are talking about their electric bills.
Yes.
So we have those costs as well. And where, most people are probably the most interested in is salary increases. We are proposing in our first draft a 5% increase. The governor's budget did include a 2% increase. We have heard that the General Assembly and the governor may increase that to 3%, which would help, obviously, but we are rolling out our first edition with a 5%. What that would look like for teachers, it was a starting salary of $58,500, which is an increase of $2,500. And we also are working on that scale. We have adjusted adjusted the percentage between the steps in order to make the middle of the scale more competitive. We have heard that that's, an area where we do have trouble competing, and so we want to see if we can address that and keep and retain, our teachers. The increases there would range from 5% to 8.65%, depending upon where you are on the scale. Our transportation. We're proposing transportation right now. It has 4 different scales. It has full-time drivers, part-time car drivers, and bus aid scales. So we are also adjusting those scales, the percent between for uniformity, which is kind of just a cleanup. But we're also proposing to increase the starting salary for full-time drivers to $25 an hour, which is significant. But this would put us at the top in this area for all of our drivers, and it hopefully would allow us to attract and retain qualified drivers. So that that's a punch. It's costly though.
Yeah.
Just saying. So this would be for full-time drivers. The increase would range from 31.2% to 32.5%.
That's significant for them.
The other scales were adjusted for a 5% increase for those scales for all employees, and a minimum of 5%. And we also adjusted the percent between those steps for uniformity as well for the part-time, the car, and the bus aid. So for the unified pay plan, which is really all of our other employees, we increased the starting hourly rate to $13.71, which is just a slight increase. There's no adjustment to the scale as far as, percentages between or anything like that. Everyone would receive a minimum of 5% increase. Now, we are aware that this scale also needs adjustments. However, at this point, we are hoping that the compensation study that you approved tonight will be able to give us some guidance and assist us in developing competitive scales moving forward. And of course, this would be a major focus for the FY 2028 budget. We are aware that there is still a little bit of talk about a minimum wage increase to $15 an hour, but we're thinking that that's not going to take place, or hoping as of January 1st coming up, because that would be very costly for us and the state. So, but we'll, keep our ears open about that. So we're still working on some things. We had Rwani and ARGS come in with a significant increase. Rwani was $270,000.
Yep.
So they are still working through their budgets. ARGS was $70,000. We have maintenance projects that need to be done, but we're looking at those and prioritizing which ones we can do. Other increases, materials and supplies. We're looking at all of our technology software review. We're reviewing that to, determine which ones, are, being utilized, and, where's our money being best spent. And then our health insurance. So we have a preliminary renewal of 15%. We were promised that we would have something more concrete by the end of February, but we have not received that yet from Anthem. So we're hoping to hear something soon. And right now we have not really added anything to the budget for increases to health insurance, but we know we're probably going to need to do that as well. So this is where we are right now. It's just a little bit of information. We don't, we've still got to balance this budget before Dr. Weston can present it in a couple weeks. We welcome your feedback on any of these items that I just presented, as well as any other priorities you would like for us to consider. We are required by the Code of Virginia to submit our request for local funding to the county by February the 28th, which after her presentation on the 24th, then we will make a determination of, if we're moving forward with what she is proposing. Some key dates in between then, the crossover is next Wednesday, February the 17th. The 26th is the deadline for each chamber to act on their budget. So hopefully we'll know where they stand at that point. And then March 4th is the deadline for each chamber to vote on their budget and or either to appoint a conferee committee. And hopefully March 9th is the deadline for committee actions, and I'm hoping that we will actually have a budget and not extend it into May, June, like we have in previous years. But I don't have a feel for that at this point. So that would make our lives a lot easier if we know, what that looks like going forward. Does anybody have any questions for anything that I just said or presented, or anything you would like us to delve into?
Well, of course, we don't know what's coming from the state, but if we're asking for, $25 an hour and $58,000 start and all that, are we looking at how much more we're asking the county for, or we're not to that point that we can determine that yet?
Well, no, we're not to the point where we can determine that, because we're still going through some of the operational pieces of the budget, the non-compensation, to really look at those increases and, prioritizing those and determining, where we, do we need this? Can we take this back a little bit? Can this be eliminated? We're still working through positions. We're, still doing some of those things. So at this point in time, we don't have that number. You are, right, Mrs. Pittman, in the fact that, obviously that would take some additional funding. However, we are, even based on the 3850, we are receiving an additional almost 1.5 million in additional state funding from the state as it stands. So
Proposals sound, I like some of the proposals, especially for transportation, and that would help us out a lot. So I'm hoping things will work out where we can kind of keep it the way we have.
I think we'd be hot topic in the area. I think everybody would want to come to Dinwiddie.
Well,
transportation's problem.
if you could get the salary per hour up that high, which would be wonderful, you would have more people internally who are willing to do it
Mm-hmm.
part-time, a teacher willing to do it, or it would incentivize it.
Yeah. Well, at this point, we're doing this for full-time.
Yeah.
For full-time.
Mm-hmm.
We want to make that attractive to
Yeah.
people. Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you,
Okay,
Christine.
thank you.
We have an update from ARGS.
No, it's just for code RV.
just- okay.
Ms. Pittman is going to do
Yeah.
Maggie Walker.
Maggie Walker and Code RVA. Maggie Walker was reorganizational meeting, just like all of our local boards are this time of year. They did want to honor 2 employees, one of which was, one on the board was Linda Hyslop from Hopewell, who passed away suddenly, and she had served for many, many years on several of the boards that some of us served on, so we all knew her, so that was a nice tribute to her. And Maggie Walker actually had a gentleman that I knew, and I don't know if anybody else knew him. His name was Jim Holdren, coached track for 63 years. He retired about
Yeah.
he retired about 12 years ago, but continued to do it as a volunteer. So he finally is stepping away. So that was phenomenal.
Yeah.
And so one of the things that I like about the Maggie Walker board, they always have a student presentation
Yes.
on each one, and it's just wonderful to just get a glimpse of what they're doing. They have wonderful activities after overseas trips the students can sign up to do, and they help them raise money for that, and they get some corporations in on that. And so it's an eye-opener. It's a different situation, different group of students, but very, very innovative. And Code RVA is at the point that they've outgrown the building. They're looking to what in the world can they do as far as a new space is concerned. It's in a good location, but it's kind of locked in by lots of other things going on. That building is occupied on the floor above them and beside them by like Michael's Plumbing, Michael and Sons Plumbing, and above them is a very popular dance hall and bar, club.
The club.
And you wouldn't think that would matter, but if you have an evening activity or parent night or whatever,
You don't have any parking.
the parking lot's pretty full, yeah. So anyway, that's a long-term thing, and the thing about that is, that school started so many years ago with these huge grants. It has $6 million federal grant. Now, all these years later, how do you sustain without keep going up and up? And so they're really working hard on growth plans. And they did organize and elect officers, but Mary, I didn't.
She didn't nominate you for the things.
Thank you.
I could
She didn't
have.
volunteer you
I
for
didn't
things.
volunteer you for anything while I was on. Yes, you were.
Ms. Rainey, do we have any citizen comments?
No one signed up to speak tonight.
Thank you. Board comments? Anybody want to talk some more? Nobody?
I do. There is something I want to say.
Please.
I just want to make sure that, we were out of school for so many days. I just want to bring awareness to the maintenance team and the work that they did. 'Cause it's one thing to deal with snow. It's a whole nother thing to deal with ice. And so Matt and his team, and even Jeff was out there. See, Jeff didn't put himself in that video, but they told me that Jeff was out there with the shovel and breaking up the ice and all that kind of stuff. And when I went out to check, they asked me if I wanted to drive the tractor, and I said no, because people will know I wasn't helping. But they just did a phenomenal job, and the guys were like slipping and falling. I just don't know if people understand the amount of work that went in to get these schools and workplaces back open. And I just really, Matt, appreciate your team. Mr. Tucker, you guys out driving around, checking the roads. I mean, it really, they don't have snow days like everybody else does. So I just want to make sure that we recognize these teams of folks who are essential. They don't have the luxury of are able to stay in their electric blankets and Yes, like some of us can, yes. I also just want one thing. I received a letter from a parent this week, and it was a kudos for a counselor at the middle school, and I think it's important to say those things when we receive them. And she just said, I want to give a compliment to Miss Freds, who's the 8th grade middle school counselor. My daughter has issues going to school sometimes from hurts and pains that she doesn't discuss, from losing her father and her grandmother. She needs extra help and a boost to sometimes get her going. Today, Miss Freds came outside to talk to her, and she got her to go inside the school. But not only did she speak with kindness and concern, but she also spoke with me as a parent, and she had me in tears when I left. She's also still working with her. She went above and beyond and should be commended for the work that she did. She's sending me parenting resources to help me. I just wanted you all to know that she did a job well done, and I was able to make it to work knowing that she was in good hands today. That is so amazing, right? I just thought that was really. And last, I just want to say to Beth and to Hannah, I think that sometimes the people that we're the closest to, we forget to say thank you to them. And these two ladies do set us all up for success every day. I'll tell you, when I come into my office every day, the door's unlocked, and I may or may not have a heater going in there. Don't listen, Matt. It's nice and toasty in my office when I come in. And then we had been out for snow, and I had this sweet little note on my desk. Beth left me a note telling me she missed me when we were out for snow days. Isn't that sweet? But they're just so wonderful like that. Every single day, they just do they're quietly, they just do their work behind the scenes, doing really sweet things. What did you say, Hannah?
I said, I'm sorry,
I missed you. Oh, that wasn't shade. I'm sorry. I didn't mean it that way. But I just think it's little things like that that we forget that people do, and just to make work a great place to come. It's really a nice place to come to work every day, and I just want to say thank you both for that. Yes. All right, that's it. Nothing else to say. I think we've said enough today.
Hearing no objections, this meeting is adjourned.
You can eat the rest of my cake.
Yes, indeed.
Were you out of work? Were you sick and out of work?